Chapter 87. Zhou Jie drank his wine and chatted with Kakashi for a while. Then, he remembered that he had not replied to the Bounty Hunter Alliance's invitation yet, so he immediately sent them an email and politely rejected their invitation. After Zhou Jie finished his wine and saw that Kakashi had also finished his drink, he said to Kakashi, "All right, I'm going to the gravity room to practice some moves. You can go back to the space ring first." Kakashi's face immediately turned bitter when he heard this. He curled his lips, but he still nodded and said, "Okay." After Kakashi returned to the space ring, Zhou Jie got out of bed and stuck the communication card connected to the thin tablet computer on the chest of his combat suit. Then, he left the room. In the evening, Zhou Jie had just returned to his room and was about to take a shower when he suddenly felt the communication card on his chest heat up. He immediately took it off and saw that it was a video call request from the thin tablet computer. The sender was the Star Sword Alliance. Zhou Jie accepted the video call. A holographic screen immediately appeared in front of him. A middle-aged man with a crew cut appeared on the screen. He said to Zhou Jie, "I'm from the Star Sword Alliance. I'm here to pick you up to the Alliance headquarters. The spaceship is parked downstairs. The serial number is XXXXX. If it's convenient for you, please come down now. Of course, we can wait for you for a while if there's something else." "I'm coming." Zhou Jie could not wait any longer. He immediately said this and turned off the call. After tidying up his room, Zhou Jie checked out on the thin tablet computer. Then, he left the key behind and left the room. After boarding the spaceship to the Star Sword Alliance headquarters, Zhou Jie noticed that there were a few other participants in the finals. Two of them were Zhou Jie's opponents. One of them was Qin Feng, and the other was Lu Haoran. Obviously, they were the same as Zhou Jie. They had chosen to join the Star Sword Alliance and receive the elite training at the headquarters. Qin Feng and Lu Haoran were pleasantly surprised to see Zhou Jie. Although they were opponents in the finals, they were now one of the few people in the Star Sword Alliance who knew each other. Moreover, they would be classmates for a period of time. Naturally, the two of them wanted to make friends with Zhou Jie. Before Zhou Jie arrived, the two of them had only chatted for less than a minute. So, Qin Feng and Lu Haoran called out to Zhou Jie. Zhou Jie also wanted to get to know them. The three of them gathered together and began to get to know each other. Previously, Qin Feng and Lu Haoran had only chatted for less than a minute. Lu Haoran did not mention his background. Now that Zhou Jie had arrived and introduced himself again, Lu Haoran suddenly mentioned his background. This gave Qin Feng a fright. He could not help but ask. Zhou Jie saw that Qin Feng was surprised, but his face was blank. He asked in confusion, "Temple of the Stars? I'm from a remote village, so I've never heard of it." When Qin Feng said the last sentence, he turned to Lu Haoran, as if to ask him to confirm if he was right. Lu Haoran laughed involuntarily and said, "I don't know how old great-great-great-great-great-grandfather is. I only know that great-great-grandfather is over 700 years old." Zhou Jie, who was standing at the side, was also somewhat helpless when he heard the numerous 2. He immediately said indifferently, "There's nothing to discuss about this. It's enough to know Brother Haoran's background." "That's true." Qin Feng nodded and looked at Lu Haoran. "By the way, you haven't told me why you joined the Star Sword Alliance. Your family should be able to afford your training." Lu Haoran shook his head and smiled. He asked, "Since you don't have to use your family's resources, why would you use them?" When Qin Feng was asked this, he suddenly realized that he seemed to have made a fool of himself. He immediately scratched his head and said, "That's true. I was silly." Zhou Jie looked at Qin Feng and smiled faintly. He suddenly thought of something and asked, "Qin Feng, I saw that you seemed to have some conflict with Lin Fengyun at the 100-Weapon Tower. What about Lin Yun? He didn't choose the Star Sword Alliance?" Qin Feng heard the question and replied, "That kid is from the same galaxy as me, but I'm similar to you, Zhou Jie. I don't have any background, but I had some opportunities and worked hard to get to where I am today. Lin Yun is different. His father is an officer in the World Mercenary Group, and his position is quite high. I also got into some trouble with him because of a beautiful woman when I took on a mercenary group mission. It was only later that I found out that the beautiful woman already had a man. It's really… Sigh, let's not talk about it. When Zhou Jie and Zhou Jie heard about Qin Feng, they could not help but smile slightly. However, they had just met, and it was not to the point where they could casually tease each other. Therefore, Zhou Jie and Zhou Jie did not say anything. The three of them chatted for a few more minutes, and another person came up from the spaceship. It was Miyazaki Naganabu. Zhou Jie and the others immediately called him over, and the four of them began to get to know each other through self-introductions. Not long after, the spaceship started moving, and the four of them were almost done chatting. Qin Feng began to pay attention to the others in the front cabin of the spaceship. After roughly identifying them, Qin Feng said to Zhou Jie and the others, "It seems that only the four of us are going to the headquarters this time. I've looked at the others, and they're all ranked after 20. I'm the lowest of the four of us, at least 17th. I'm considered quite lucky to be able to enter the elite training base of the Star Sword Alliance headquarters. The others should be in the first-class division." "How do you know this?" Miyazaki Naganabu suddenly asked. Zhou Jie and Lu Haoran also had a surprised look on their faces. They were clearly surprised by Qin Feng's words. Seeing this, Qin Feng smiled a little proudly. He then explained, "Well, I just asked the person who invited me to the Star Sword Alliance. I asked him how many of them could enter the headquarters this time. He said the top 20 and the rest are in the first-class division." Hearing this, the other three understood. At the same time, Lu Haoran could not help but sigh. In that case, there should be very few people in the elite training base of the Star Sword Alliance headquarters. Other than the four of us, the rest should be geniuses cultivated by the Star Sword Alliance itself, so there shouldn't be many of them. In response, Zhou Jie and the others nodded slightly. Not long after, a tall beauty wearing a spaceship uniform came over. She told Zhou Jie and the others about the time the spaceship would arrive at the destination, as well as the facilities and services available on the spaceship. Then, she gave everyone a room card and told them where Zhou Jie and the others would be staying before she left. After the beauty left, Miyazaki Naganabu said, "There are still 24 days until we arrive at the Dragon Phoenix planet. I'll go take a look at my room first. Let's meet again tonight for dinner." Zhou Jie and the others agreed. They decided on a place for dinner and then went their separate ways. During the 24 days on the spaceship, Zhou Jie, Qin Feng, and the others often ate and chatted together. Their relationship gradually deepened, and they began to call each other brothers. They could even joke around with each other. On this day, the spaceship finally arrived at the Dragon Phoenix planet. Along the way, it had already sent the other finalists to a level 1 subleague. Zhou Jie and the others disembarked from the spaceship under the arrangement of the spaceship staff. What appeared in front of Zhou Jie and the others was a flat ground. In the distance, there was a translucent light shield that covered half the sky. "What a huge energy shield!" Qin Feng exclaimed in surprise. Then, Zhou Jie and the others also noticed a group of soldiers in front of them. They were wearing the same combat uniform, and they were jogging toward Zhou Jie and the others. The group of 10 people ran to a few meters in front of Zhou Jie and the others. After they stood in a line, a burly man in the lead stepped forward and saluted Zhou Jie and the others. Then, he said, "I am Guan Xingtian, commander of the 2nd Battalion of the 1st Division of the Star Sword Alliance's 3rd Legion. I am here to welcome the 4 Major Generals. Please follow me into the base." Zhou Jie and the others were not surprised to be called Major General, because they had already learned about the situation before they came. As long as they entered the elite training base of the Dragon Phoenix planet, they would be awarded the honorary rank of Major General. The so-called honorary rank was different from the military positions in the Star Sword Alliance. For example, the commander of a legion was a military position and had the authority to lead troops into battle. However, the honorary ranks of general and major general were usually awarded after outstanding contributions in the military. Those who were awarded the honorary rank would receive the military's courtesy and have the authority to intervene in military affairs. However, it was limited to meeting and so on. They did not have the authority to train troops in battle. Chapter 88. After Zhou Jie and the other three responded, Guan Xingtian said, "As usual, I would like to invite the 4 major generals to sit in our car. Then, I will order someone to drive the major generals to familiarize them with the situation in the base. Finally, I will send the major generals to their respective residences." And so, Zhou Jie and the others followed Guan Xingtian's team into a silver tank not far away. Guan Xingtian ordered someone to drive the car while he sat on the roof with Zhou Jie and the others. After a while, the tank drove into the energy shield. The shield automatically opened up a gap, revealing a metal gate behind it. The gate was open and the tank drove in directly. The so-called elite training base looked like a garden district. Other than a few large fields in the middle of the road, there were villas on both sides. Each villa took up a large area. Including the lawn, it was more than 3,000 square meters. Major generals, these villas will be your residences from now on. However, the villas here have already been allocated. Your residences are at the back. You can choose one later, Guan Xingtian said. Although Zhou Jie didn't show it on his face, he couldn't help but sigh at the wealth of the Star Sword Alliance. The Dragon Phoenix planet was originally a barren planet, but it was forcibly developed by the Star Sword Alliance. Other than the elite training base here, there are also several specialized training grounds, including the Star Sword Alliance's headquarters on the Star Sword continent. It was once a barren planet that became a super-interstellar continent with a population of billions. Zhou Jie sighed in his heart. The other 3 were the same, especially Qin Feng, whose background was only slightly better than Zhou Jie's. He immediately said, "The Star Sword Alliance is really rich. I didn't expect to live in such a big villa. After more than 10 years, I've finally reached the end, ha ha." Seeing this, Guan Xingtian smiled at Qin Feng and said, "Of course, you'll get what you pay for. It's a pity that I'm not as talented as you, and I wasn't born into a good family either. In the end, I only got to where I am today. I can't compare to you, Major General." Facing this, Qin Feng smiled but didn't say anything. The tank sped past the villas and finally arrived at the center of the base. There were several large buildings with strange designs. At this time, Guan Xingtian took the lead to point to a fully enclosed rectangular silver building without even a window and said, "Major Generals, look. That is the library. There are many ancient books that can be used for cultivation inside. Some are electronic and some are physical. The library has a total of 10 floors. The bottom 5 floors are open to you for free, while the upper 5 floors require cultivation points in exchange for the right to read them." Cultivation points? Zhou Jie and the other 3 were puzzled. Lu Haoran was the first to ask. "You'll know how to use cultivation points after you get the identity badges. The identity badges are your proof of identity here. You can communicate with each other and pay for all kinds of things. There are also various online services. The identity badges will provide you with the best convenience during the 30 years you've been cultivating here. Don't lose them. It's troublesome to replace them," Guan Xingtian explained. Zhou Jie and the others nodded. Guan Xingtian then pointed at the second building in the center, which was an enormous hemispherical building with a diameter of more than 200 meters. Then, he said, "That's the execution field. It's suitable for Star Lords to cultivate there. You'll need cultivation points to exchange for time to cultivate there." At this moment, Zhou Jie looked around the execution field and saw a golden list behind it. Zhou Jie's pupils contracted. What's that? Why is it floating there? It doesn't seem to have any energy to rely on. Miyazaki Naganabu noticed the golden list at the same time as Zhou Jie. He was shocked and stood up to point at it. Seeing this, Guan Xingtian hurriedly introduced, "Oh, that's the gold roll. Rumor has it that the Alliance Master personally made it. It contains the Tao of Law, so it can float there without relying on external forces. Normal people can't get close to it." "What's the gold list for?" Lu Haoran quickly asked. "It's used to record the top 100 elites in the past. It's ranked according to their comprehensive strength. Those who are on the list are all elites of the elites and geniuses of geniuses." Guan Xingtian replied, "However, those on the gold list are all Samsung or 4-star Star Lords. You're new here, so you don't have to pay attention to the gold list. It's not too late to wait until the last few years. It's said that those who are on the list will be rewarded by the leader himself." Zhou Jie was silent when he heard this. This gold roll had aroused a little of his competitive spirit. But then again, to be able to enter this place as a genius, which one of them did not have a competitive spirit. Naturally, other than Zhou Jie, the other 3 people were also fantasizing about the day they could be ranked on the gold roll. However, when they thought of what Guan Xingtian just said, that those who were on the list were at least Samsung Star Lords, they felt even more pressure, because they all knew that they could only stay there for 30 years. After 30 years, they would have to leave and be forced to face many choices. After all, the Star Sword Alliance had spent so much effort to cultivate them, and they would be used to create value in the future. Suddenly, Zhou Jie had an idea and asked Guan Xingtian, "Can we go and take a look?" When Zhou Jie asked this question, the other 3 were also surprised and immediately became interested. "Yes, I want to go and take a look too." Qin Feng agreed, and the other 2 nodded slightly. "Sure, let's go and take a look. Little Feng, stop the car in front of the gold list." Guan Xingtian immediately ordered after replying. After a while, the car stopped about 10 meters in front of the gold list. Zhou Jie and the other 3 looked at the long golden list. The gold list was 9 meters long and 3 meters wide. There were only 100 names and their corresponding introductions. First place, Luo Feng, 5-star Lord, 100-star pass, 98 stars, 20 miles in the elemental domain. Second place, Jiang Linfeng, 5-star Lord, 100-star pass, 97 stars, 19 miles in the elemental domain. 10th place, Yuan Chang, 4-star Lord, 100-star pass, 90 stars, 15 miles in the elemental domain. 99th place, Peroni, Samsung Star Lord, 100-star pass, 85 stars, 10 miles in the elemental domain. 100th place, Meng Chongqin, Samsung Star Lord, 100-star pass, 84 stars, 10 miles in the elemental domain. After roughly browsing through the gold list, Zhou Jie couldn't help but be secretly shocked. After all, he wasn't a Star Lord and didn't know much about the elemental domain, but he knew that Star Lords were bound to be able to control part of the elemental power. The so-called elemental domain was probably the range of control over the law elements, and the gold list was used as a standard to measure strength. Obviously, the larger the elemental domain, the stronger the Star Lord was. Becoming a 5-star Lord in 30 years is as difficult as ascending to the sky. This Luo Feng guy is really abnormal, Qin Feng suddenly said at this moment. The others nodded subconsciously, and Guan Xingtian smiled at this moment. This Luo Feng is really amazing. It's said that he later became the Alliance leader's only disciple and a patroller, but I don't know if he's still a patroller. It's been a long time, and I've been here for a long time, so I learned that it was more than 700 years ago. Qin Feng couldn't help but exclaim again after hearing this. He then asked Guan Xingtian for information about the others on the gold list, and Guan Xingtian actually knew a little about most of them. He immediately told Zhou Jie and the others about them, and it took him half an hour. Okay, that's all for now. Next, I'll send you to choose your residences. My mission is almost over. Guan Xingtian felt that it was about time after talking for half an hour, so he immediately ordered someone to continue driving toward the latter half of the base. 20 minutes later, Zhou Jie and the others chose 4 villas respectively, which happened to be adjacent to each other. The 4 villas gathered together were roughly equivalent to a square area. Zhou Jie was in the southeast, Lu Haoren was in the northeast, and Qin Feng was in the southwest. After choosing their villas, the 4 of them went their separate ways and stayed in their own villas. As soon as Zhou Jie entered, the door was open. A beautiful maid and a young man in a suit came up to welcome him. They said to Zhou Jie in unison, "Welcome, master." Zhou Jie was shocked. He carefully sensed them and realized that the man and woman were actually artificial intelligence robots. Chapter 89. You guys are? Zhou Jie couldn't help but feel confused about these 2 intelligent robots. The male robot immediately answered, "Master, I'm Black Man number 2, your butler. I can help you with things or carry heavy items. For example, if you have a delivery, I can go get it for you." Then the female robot followed up and said, "Master, I'm White Man number 2, your personal maid. I'm good at cooking, cleaning, planting, and so on. You can tell me what you want to eat every day." Hearing this, Zhou Jie suddenly realized something. He nodded and said, "Well, this villa is so big. Where is my room? Take me there first." "Okay, master, please come with me," man number 2 in black said immediately and made a "please" gesture. "Okay." Zhou Jie responded and followed black-clothed man number 2 into the villa. After a few steps, black-clothed man number 2 handed a translucent card to Zhou Jie and said, "Master, this is your identity card. It was just generated by the system. Please take good care of it. If you want to reapply for it, the system will need to reauthorize it. At that time, you will need to personally handle it." "Oh, okay." Zhou Jie took the identity card and found that it was actually a card microcomputer. After facial recognition, it was automatically bound. Zhou Jie could wake up the screen by touching the surface of the card. The network was already connected, and the screen only showed a few general functions. 100 stars pass? Zhou Jie saw that one of the general functions was 100 stars pass, and couldn't help but be surprised. Just as he was about to click on it, he saw a beginner's notes at the bottom right corner. Zhou Jie was stunned, but he still chose to open the beginner's notes first. The main content of the beginner's notes was to explain the main situation of planet Dragon Phoenix, as well as some of the people in the elite training base. 100 stars pass. Actual combat test. There are a total of 100 passes. Every pass is worth 1 star, which can be used to exchange for cultivation points. The first 10 stars are worth 10 points per star. After that, every 10 stars are worth double the point. From the 11th to the 20th stars are worth 200 points. From the 21st to the 30th stars are worth 400 points, and so on. Trading Center, Treasure Trading Center. There are also foreign traders. Every time you enter, you need to pay 100 cultivation points. The Star Sword Alliance Division ensures the safety of transactions. The Star Sword Alliance Treasure Appraisal Association ensures the value of items. Most items are free to be appraised. The current trainees in the elite training base, including newcomers, are as follows: Zhou Jie, newcomer, level X; Qin Feng, newcomer, level X; Veronica, second year, level X; Li Xiantian, 22nd year, Star Lord of Samsung; Tu Xiao, 24th year, Star Lord of Samsung. Zhou Jie frowned after reading the beginner's notes, because he found that in the elite training base, apart from those who had participated in the genius competition, including Veronica, the rest were already Star Lords, and they had stayed there for at least 8 years. More than half of them had more than 15 years of experience. They were at least 2 Star Lords, and there were 6 Samsung Star Lords. It meant that Zhou Jie's team was at the bottom of the hierarchy, and they were the weakest. Of course, Zhou Jie only felt a little uncomfortable. After all, he was a newcomer, and he didn't want to compare himself with others. He didn't care that those seniors were stronger than him, but it was inevitable that he would feel uncomfortable with the feeling of being ridden on his head. Then, Zhou Jie clicked on the 100 Stars Pass, only to find that there were only appointments and cancellations. He then exited and clicked on the other functions. Just like that, Zhou Jie walked and looked around. When he was almost done, Black Suit number 2 led Zhou Jie to a large room on the 3rd floor of the villa. Standing in front of Zhou Jie's bedroom, Black Suit number 2 nodded at Zhou Jie and said respectfully, "Master, this is your master bedroom. You can enter and leave by swiping your ID card. In addition, the 2nd floor is the training ground, and the 1st floor has an underground meditation room. Nobody below 5-star Star Lords can destroy the meditation room. Nobody can enter it unless they use your ID card." Zhou Jie nodded and said, "Okay, got it. You can leave now. I'll contact you with your ID card if I need anything." Hearing that, Black Suit number 2 bowed and said, "Okay. Also, the supplies for the newcomers have been placed in your room. Please verify them according to the allocation. If there are any mistakes, please contact me." "Okay." Zhou Jie nodded and opened the door with his ID card. He then walked in. After closing the door, Zhou Jie observed his room. It was indeed very large, more than 800 square meters, like a small basketball court. However, the furnishings in the room were very simple. There was a hard bed with a quilt folded at the foot of the bed. There was a bedside table on each side of the bed. Not far away was a wardrobe. There was also an electronic projection screen and a bathroom. Zhou Jie came to one side of the bed and saw a box that was half his height. The box was made of soft, translucent rubber. Zhou Jie recognized one of the items in the box at first glance. It was a box of X-grade nutrient fluids. Zhou Jie walked forward and saw a list of items on the box. He picked it up and looked at it. A box of X-grade nutrient fluids, 500 ml X24, a box of X3 energy pumps, standard, and a box of mental energy recovery potions, standard. What a huge sum! Zhou Jie couldn't help but sigh as he read out the items on the list. Zhou Jie only knew about the X-grade nutrient fluids on the list. However, just this item alone was worth more than 1 billion star coins. Depending on the brand and effect of the X-grade nutrient fluids, the cheapest one cost about 40 million star coins per bottle. The most expensive one cost more than 80 million star coins. The box of 12 bottles that Kakashi bought was considered the cheapest, but it still cost 5 to 600 million star coins. The Star Sword Alliance shouldn't be stingy. They should give the more expensive ones. This box of X-grade nutrient fluids probably costs more than 1.5 billion star coins. Zhou Jie was even more shocked after doing this calculation. Because if this was the case, the value of this batch of newbie supplies might be more than 5 billion star coins. Of course, the Star Sword Alliance could definitely produce these things themselves. It was completely at cost price, so it should be more than 2 billion star coins. However, this was only for Zhou Jie. Everyone in the elite training base was the same. Adding the construction cost of this place, it would cost at least several 100 billion star coins. No wonder the Star Sword Alliance was the wealthiest of the 5 great organizations. However, if this box of X-grade nutrient fluids is given to an A-grade cultivator, it should be enough for him to cultivate to SS grade without any problems. However, for a normal peak X-grade cultivator, it can only be used as a supplement after exhaustion. Fortunately, I need a large amount of energy to form a star core on its own. I don't know if these nutrient fluids and other things will be enough. Zhou Jie thought to himself. After thinking about it, he summoned Kakashi. Then, Zhou Jie showed Kakashi his newbie supplies and asked him how he should make the best use of these supplies. After Kakashi looked at the supplies, his eyes immediately emitted a blue light. His mouth was wide open, and he looked so happy that he couldn't even close his mouth. Wow, Brother Jia, this Star Sword Alliance is really rich. These rank X nutrient fluids are the best, each box worth at least 1.8 billion star coins. That energy pump, on the other hand, is worth less than 1 billion star coins. But for you, Brother Jia, this spirit replenishing potion is the most precious. This potion alone costs 4 or 5 billion star coins. It can directly and quickly replenish the depletion of your spirit force. Brother Jia, you don't need to use it normally. It's best to save it for when you've exhausted too much of your spirit force in battle. Kakashi said to Zhou Jie excitedly as he stared at the materials with shining eyes. Then how do I use these X-grade nutrient fluids? Can I use them to naturally condense a star core faster? Zhou Jie asked again. Kakashi replied, Of course, but even with these nutrient fluids, it might not be enough for you to naturally condense a star core, Jocko. But you can give it a try soon. After all, the sooner you become a Star Lord, the better. That way, you can participate in the trial of 6 paths as soon as possible. Then I plan to go into seclusion for a period of time to absorb all these nutrient fluids. How long do you think it will take? Zhou Jie asked after he made his decision. Back on the Zerg planet, he had absorbed the lowest grade X-grade nutrient fluids many times. But at that time, he had consumed a lot of his spirit replenishing serum, which allowed him to quickly increase his spirit replenishing serum. After that, he had used it a few times during the Genius competition and gradually reached the peak of X-grade. Without any spirit replenishing serum, it would be very, very slow for him to absorb the X-grade nutrient fluids. Chapter 90. Kakashi hesitated for a moment before saying, I can't be sure, but I've calculated the energy contained in the X-grade nutrient fluid and estimated your current absorption ability, Jocko. I think you'll need at least a month. Are you talking about continuous absorption? Zhou Jie raised his eyebrows and asked. Kakashi nodded. Yes, but Jocko, you can also absorb 1 bottle to stabilize and comprehend the concept. Even if you're slow, you'll still be able to absorb it in 2 or 3 months. Zhou Jie thought for a moment and felt that it was better this way, so he nodded. Then let's do it this way. After 3 months of closed-door cultivation and absorbing these nutrient fluids, I might be able to condense a star core naturally. After I become a Star Lord, I'll be able to accept missions and earn cultivation points. Cultivation points. Kakashi couldn't help but be puzzled. Zhou Jie replied, In this elite cultivation base and the Dragon Phoenix planet, cultivation points are equivalent to the highest grade of currency. You can use them to exchange for many things, including star coins, the right to enter the major cultivation venues and the exchange, and even some treasures. These are all on my identity card. You'll understand if you take a look at the beginner's notes. Zhou Jie said as he unlocked the screen of his identity card and threw it to Kakashi. Zhou Jie believed that he would still need Kakashi's help while he was cultivating here. Therefore, he felt that Kakashi needed to understand the situation here. After a while, Kakashi finished reading the beginner's notes and flipped through a few functions on his identity card. Exchange, 100-star pass, treasure exchange, shopping on the merchant planet, cultivation points, and so on. Wow, there are so many things. These treasures and ordinary items can be bought directly from here. It's a pity that they all require cultivation points. Jocko, you only have 1,000 points. You'll be out after buying 2 bottles of X-grade nutrient fluid. Kakashi said as he shook his head. It was no wonder that Kakashi felt this way. This was because the cultivation points were indeed omnipotent. As long as he had enough points, he could even exchange for suzerain secret techniques, grade F spaceships, satellite weapon systems, mechanical king weapons, and many other things that normal low-level Star Lords would not even dare to dream about. Things like level X nutrient fluids and mental energy recovery potions were directly placed in the trade star shop. A box of the highest quality level X nutrient fluids, 500 milliliters x24, only cost 8,800 points, and 10,000 points could only be exchanged for 1.5 billion star coins. However, there was a limit. After all, the nutrient fluid was useless for Star Lords, but it was very useful for the cultivators below level X. If there was no limit, it was possible that someone would sell it to the outside world, which would cause unnecessary waste for the Star Sword Alliance. Generally speaking, there were only a few ways to earn points. The first was to break through to the next star rank. Breaking through to the rank of a 1-star lord would earn you 5,000 points, a 2-star lord would earn you 10,000 points, a 3-star lord would earn you 20,000 points, a 4-star lord would earn you 40,000 points, and a 5-star lord would earn you 80,000 points. However, there were no 6-star lords. Also, no one in history had ever become a 6-star lord in 30 years in an elite training base. Those who could become 5-star lords only happened once in hundreds or even thousands of years. The second way to obtain cultivation points was to pass the 100 stars barrier. This was already mentioned before, so there was no need to repeat it. The third way was to complete missions. Each mission could give anywhere from 5,000 to 50,000 points. Naturally, the more points one had, the more difficult it would be. The missions with the lowest difficulty could only be accepted by Star Lord. It was not hard to imagine how dangerous those missions were. The last way to earn points was the most difficult. That was to create a secret skill or cultivation method that could be kept on the 5th floor of the book collection tower. Then, he would be able to earn a certain amount of points. This way, he would be able to earn at least 50,000 points. However, the last way to obtain cultivation points was also the most hopeless, so Zhou Jie simply ignored it. Although he had many Lord-level secret techniques from the sacred grounds, he couldn't learn them himself, and they were Lord-level secret techniques. All in all, there was no way that he would exchange them for cultivation points. I'll be able to earn cultivation points quickly when I become a Star Lord. Let's improve our strength first. Zhou Jie was quite calm when Kakashi shook his head and sighed. Kakashi, protect me now. I'm going to start. Hearing Zhou Jie's words, Kakashi quickly responded and returned the identity card to Zhou Jie. Then, Zhou Jie opened the box of nutrition liquids and took a few bottles to the bathroom, planning to start his seclusion. Time flew. It had been the 79th day since Zhou Jie moved into the villa. It still doesn't work, but my energy is almost overflowing. I have to keep compressing it, but I might accidentally condense a star core if I'm not careful. Zhou Jie frowned when he saw that the last bottle of nutrition liquids had been emptied, but he still hadn't condensed a star core. After leaving the bathtub, where the energy was thin, Zhou Jie's netherworld battlesuit was instantly covered by his belt. Then, Zhou Jie activated his energy, and the water on the surface and inside of the battlesuit was all removed. After opening the bathroom door and walking out, Zhou Jie saw Kakashi lying on the bed with his legs crossed and reading a comic. Zhou Jie walked to the bed and said to Kakashi, "Kakashi, I've absorbed the last bottle of nutrition liquids, but I still haven't condensed a star core. However, I feel that the energy in my body has increased by at least 20%. I can't compress it anymore. If this continues, I'm worried that I might accidentally condense a star core if I continue to cultivate and absorb cosmic energy." Hearing this, Kakashi had already somersaulted and sat on the bed. He frowned, thought for a while, and said, "Jocko, according to your current situation, you should be at the most critical and most difficult time. Maybe you'll be able to condense a star core spontaneously if you go one step further. You have to endure it, or all your previous efforts will be in vain." Hearing this, Zhou Jie couldn't help but fall silent. In fact, he felt that his current situation would be better than the average person's breakthrough. However, since Kakashi said that the star-cleansing core that was formed spontaneously was the most perfect, he had to endure it. Well, take it slow. There's no rush. Now, every bit of energy I absorb needs a long time to stabilize without breaking through. I think this situation will be even more difficult in the future. No wonder ordinary people can't condense a star core spontaneously and become a star master. Zhou Jie sighed. Kakashi listened to Zhou Jie and nodded with a smile. That's right. Since you want to be stronger than others of the same level, you naturally have to pay more. Jocko, every time you break through in the future, you will have to condense a star core spontaneously. Zhou Jie. 9 months later, it had been almost a year since Zhou Jie had moved into the villa. In the past year, Qin Feng and the others who had entered through the summit match with Zhou Jie had all become star masters one after another. Among them, Lu Haoren was the first to break through, and it only took him less than 2 months. Then, Miyazaki Naganabu took more than 2 months, and finally, Qin Feng took only 3 months. With the help of level X nutrient fluids, breaking through to the Star Master level couldn't have been easier for geniuses like them. Soon after their breakthroughs, the 3 of them contacted Zhou Jie one after another and told him about their breakthroughs. They also asked if Zhou Jie had made a breakthrough. Even Lu Haoren, who was the first to ask, didn't contact Zhou Jie until more than a month after his breakthrough because he didn't want to shock the others. Naturally, Zhou Jie hadn't made a breakthrough at that time. However, Qin Feng was the third to inform Zhou Jie about his breakthrough and asked about Zhou Jie's situation. It had been 5 months since then, but Zhou Jie hadn't made a breakthrough yet. Regarding this, Zhou Jie only gave a few perfunctory words, saying that he had been delayed by comprehending the concept. Qin Feng and the others did not take it seriously. They only asked Zhou Jie to inform the 3 of them after he had broken through, because at that time, the 4 of them could go and do the mission together. However, it had been almost a year since the 4 of them had arrived, and yet Zhou Jie still hadn't informed Qin Feng and the others that he had made a breakthrough. What's going on with Jocko? He still hasn't told us whether he has made a breakthrough or not. I contacted him 2 months ago to do missions, but he said that he hasn't made a breakthrough yet. How strange. Qin Feng said to Miyazaki Naganabu and Lu Haoren, who were sitting opposite him in his villa. Chapter 91. It's very strange. With Zhou Jie's talent, it's impossible that he hasn't broken through until now, unless... Lu Haoren also said. Suddenly, he thought of something and stopped talking. What did you think of? Miyazaki Naganabu couldn't help but look at Lu Haoren and ask. Do you think that Zhou Jie didn't use the batch of newcomer resources? In addition, he has to comprehend the concept, so he hasn't broken through for so long? Lu Haoren thought about it and voiced his guess. Now that you mention it, it seems possible. But why didn't Jocko use the X-level nutrient fluid? It doesn't make sense, does it? Qin Feng frowned and asked. Maybe he's short of money, Lu Haoren replied. The reason why he raised his guess was because he thought of this possibility. Short of money? Miyazaki Naganabu couldn't help but frown. Obviously, he was surprised by Lu Haoren's statement. However, after thinking about it carefully, it seemed that this was the only way to explain why Zhou Jie hadn't broken through until now. Qin Feng also frowned and said, This won't do. Let's contact Jocko and ask him what's going on. We even passed the 100 stars pass, but Jocko hasn't done anything. Isn't he worried about cultivation points? Then let's contact him. We'll ask him together. Lu Haoren nodded in agreement. Miyazaki Naganabu also nodded in agreement. In the bedroom of Zhou Jie's villa, Zhou Jie was meditating on the bed with his eyes closed. The quilt stacked at the corner of the bed was covered with a thin layer of dust, but there wasn't a single wrinkle on it. Suddenly, Zhou Jie opened his eyes, took the ID card beside him, and quickly opened Qin Feng's video call invitation. Jocko. On the light screen, Qin Feng's part above his shoulder appeared. Behind his shoulder, Lu Haoran and Miyazaki Naganabu could be seen. Zhou Jie saw that Lu Haoran and Lu Haoran were also there. He was shocked and quickly asked, "What's wrong? Jocko, you haven't broken through to the Star Lord level yet?" Qin Feng asked. Zhou Jie couldn't help but stare blankly. After hesitating for a moment, he still answered truthfully, "No." Zhou Jie was about to explain, but Qin Feng's right. "Jocko, are you short of money?" "Lack of money?" Zhou Jie was dumbfounded. What was this? Besides, he wasn't short of money. Seeing that Zhou Jie was confused, Qin Feng told Lu Haoran's guess to Zhou Jie and added, "If you're short of money, just tell me. Although I'm not very rich, Haoran is. Don't you think so, Haoran?" As Qin Feng spoke, he turned his head and smiled at Lu Haoran as he asked. Zhou Jie was speechless in front of the screen. He was about to say something, but Lu Haoran squeezed in front of Qin Feng and said to Zhou Jie, "Zhou Jie, if you're really short of money, I can lend you 10 billion star coins myself." Zhou Jie's eyes almost popped out. Qin Feng, on the other hand, had already exploded. "F***ck, Brother Ran, I didn't expect you to be so rich. You have 10 billion star coins yourself?" Faced with Qin Feng's incredulous question, Lu Haoran was very calm. He explained, "I'm in charge of 12 of the family's businesses." Then Qin Feng started to flatter Lu Haoran. Seeing this, Zhou Jie held his forehead helplessly and said, "Qin Feng, Haoran, thank you for your kindness, but it's not because I'm short of money that I haven't broken through yet. I've already used the X-grade nutrient fluid, but because I'm cultivating a secret technique, I can't break through for the time being. But the way I see it, I'll break through this month or next month at the latest. You guys don't have to worry about me." As soon as Zhou Jie said that, Qin Feng stopped fooling around. The three of them gathered in front of the screen, still in disbelief at Zhou Jie's answer. Zhou Jie realized that they didn't know what secret technique he was cultivating that required him to break through to the Star Lord level. So, Zhou Jie sighed and said something to the three of them, telling them not to worry about themselves and to focus on their cultivation. In the end, Qin Feng and the other two couldn't do anything about it. They could only wish Zhou Jie a smooth cultivation and ended the call. Putting down his ID card, Zhou Jie couldn't help but shake his head with a smile. At the same time, he felt warm in his heart. "It's been 8 years, my former good friends. How are you?" Zhou Jie closed his eyes and suddenly murmured, his brows furrowed like a knife. Kakashi was reading a comic not far away from Zhou Jie. Seeing that Zhou Jie was talking to himself, he couldn't help but stare at Zhou Jie for a while, but Zhou Jie ignored him in the end. He shrugged and continued reading his comic. Then, Zhou Jie opened his eyes and glanced at Kakashi. Then, he adjusted his mentality and continued to absorb the universal energy slowly. Just as Zhou Jie said on the phone, he felt that the energy in his body had been saturated to the limit after countless energy compressions and stabilizations. A star core could be formed spontaneously at any time. However, he was absorbing the energy very slowly and carefully, which made it difficult for him to guarantee that a star core would be formed spontaneously in a few days. However, he believed that a month would be enough. At this point, Zhou Jie wasn't very agitated, but the video call just now made him want to make a breakthrough as soon as possible. Therefore, he needed to adjust his mentality and continue cultivating. Soon. Qin Feng and the others are doing missions. When I become a Star Lord, I'll go to the 100 Stars Pass first. Zhou Jie thought to himself and gradually calmed down. 6 days passed in the blink of an eye. It had been a year since Zhou Jie came to the elite training base, but Zhou Jie was still a little bit away from making a breakthrough. At a certain moment on this day, a middle-aged man in white appeared above Qin Feng's villa and scanned with his powerful mental power. "Huh!" The middle-aged man's casual expression changed as he looked at Zhou Jie's villa in shock. "Who's living there?" The middle-aged man frowned and quickly took out his ID badge, which was an upgraded version of the ID badge that only the senior members of the Star Sword Alliance could have. A few seconds later, Zhou Jie, the other 3 in his batch have already started doing missions, but he still hasn't become a Star Lord? The middle-aged man was shocked. He hesitated for a moment in the air, but still chose to fly to Zhou Jie's bedroom on the 3rd floor. The middle-aged man's name was Haojue. He was a 7-star Star Lord sent by the Star Sword Alliance to guard the Dragon Phoenix planet. He was also responsible for supervising the cultivation of the members in the elite training base. However, for a long time, those who could enter the cultivation base were all dragons among men. Usually, there was no need to supervise their cultivation at all. Therefore, every year, he would come to check on the cultivation of all the cultivators. He would also check on the cultivators who were not in the cultivation base. Today was the day for him to do so. Haojue directly broke into the 3rd floor of Zhou Jie's villa and arrived in front of Zhou Jie's bedroom in a rather aggressive manner. Inside the room, Kakashi sensed that an expert was approaching. His expression changed as he warned Zhou Jie. "Don't worry. This is the elite training base of the Star Sword Alliance. Whoever dares to break in like this can't be an intruder. Otherwise, the base's defense system would have been alerted a long time ago." Zhou Jie was calm despite Kakashi's panic. He then quickly put Kakashi into his spatial ring. Very soon, footsteps were heard outside the door. The footsteps paused, and a cold voice was heard. "Zhou Jie, are you cultivating?" Hearing this, Zhou Jie immediately flew to the door and opened it. "Senior." Zhou Jie could sense that Haojue was immeasurably strong outside the door. He immediately called out and then answered Haojue's question. "I was cultivating just now. What can I do for you, senior?" Haojue looked at Zhou Jie thoughtfully after hearing the question. He had already sensed that Zhou Jie's body was abnormally abundant. He should have become a Star Lord a long time ago, but why didn't he choose to do so? Haojue was confused, but he was no longer as angry as before. "Zhou Jie, let me ask you, why haven't you become a Star Lord yet?" Haojue thought for a moment and asked. Zhou Jie didn't expect that the guy was only there for that. Slightly shocked, he hurried to explain what he said to Qin Feng and the others. Haojue frowned after hearing Zhou Jie's explanation, but he didn't pursue the matter. He simply said, "Fine, but don't waste too much time on other things. You should focus on becoming a Star Lord first. I can see that you can make the breakthrough at any time, so do it as soon as possible. I'll keep an eye on you for a while. Take care." After that, Haojue turned around and left, leaving Zhou Jie shaking his head and sighing. Day and night passed. Zhou Jie carefully absorbed the energy of the universe as usual and constantly stabilized the energy in his body. However, at this time, he really felt that his body had reached its limit. He was almost unable to restrain himself from condensing a star core. However, Zhou Jie tried his best to hold it back, until a certain moment. Zhou Jie opened his eyes with a look of shock on his face. Boom! Instantly, the energy in Zhou Jie's body was crazily condensed, and Zhou Jie's body emitted a glimmer of energy beyond his control. Chapter 92. At this moment, Zhou Jie felt that his dantian seemed to have become a collapsing black hole that was releasing a terrifying suction force, absorbing all the energy in his body spontaneously. After only a dozen seconds, Zhou Jie felt that more than half of the energy in his body had been lost except for his dantian. He even had the illusion that his limbs were powerless. The energy changes in Zhou Jie's body also alarmed Kakashi, who was at the side. He quickly sat up and looked at Zhou Jie. His cute big eyes were wide open. "Jocko, you've made a breakthrough!" exclaimed Kakashi in delight. Zhou Jie nodded and put on a smile. Then, he said, "My body was full of energy before, but now I'm thirsty for energy." Hearing that, Kakashi quickly said, Jocko, hurry up and absorb the energy of the universe. The perfect stellar core that was formed spontaneously requires the most energy. Okay. Zhou Jie responded immediately. In fact, he had already started to do so without waiting for Kakashi to say this. After all, his body was constantly transmitting the message of energy deficiency to his brain in a short period of time. Naturally, he had to absorb energy to replenish his body. However, Zhou Jie didn't expect that he would need so much energy to become a Star Lord with a perfect stellar core. His body had also been strengthened, and his mental power had been increased. It was already the next day when Zhou Jie felt that his body and mind were saturated. Phew! After spitting out a mouthful of foul air, Zhou Jie opened his eyes, and it seemed as if a bright light had suddenly appeared in his eyes, causing him to seem rather terrifying. Seeing that Zhou Jie had finally made a breakthrough, Kakashi couldn't help but remark, "Jocko, I didn't know that it would take you so long to form a perfect stellar core and become a Star Lord. It took more than 10 hours. Normally, it would only take 2 or 3 hours to stabilize a breakthrough and become a Star Lord. The Star Lord level is indeed much stronger. I feel like I've been reborn." In response to Kakashi's words, Zhou Jie said this, expressing his amazement at the great changes in his body. "Jocko, how much stronger do you think you are now?" Kakashi thought for a moment and asked with a grin. Zhou Jie glanced at Kakashi and pondered for a moment before answering, "At least 10 times. Zhou Jie's answer shocked Kakashi. He said, "So much stronger? Jocko, you're already comparable to a 1-star lord. It seems that the perfect astral core is really impressive. No wonder Master has to purify his astral core to make it perfect before he can continue cultivating, even though he was born a Star Lord." Hearing this, Zhou Jie didn't say anything. Instead, he picked up the identity card on the side, opened it, and looked at it. Then he said, "Kakashi, I'm going to break through the 100 stars pass in the next few days. It's a good opportunity to test my progress. I've just made an appointment. You'd better go back to the space ring when I'm not in the villa." "Oh, okay. I can go back and take a nap to replenish my energy." Kakashi seemed reluctant at first, but then he agreed with a nonchalant expression. A few minutes later, Zhou Jie walked out of the bedroom door that he hadn't left for a long time. He only felt that his body was surging with blood, which made him feel like fighting. "I'm going to challenge the 100 Stars challenge tomorrow. I'll practice all my moves today, and see if I can apply my intent to the Golden Lotus Sword Array." Zhou Jie thought and went to the training ground on the 2nd floor. At the same time, he used his ID card to contact White Robe No. 2 and asked her to prepare lunch. Zhou Jie hadn't eaten for a long time, and he wanted to relax and enjoy lunch. There was a special gravity room on the 2nd floor. Zhou Jie entered the gravity room after practicing some move. However, Zhou Jie felt that it was a pity that the gravity room could only provide 150 times the normal gravity. After all, the cost of a gravity machine is not cheap. Every villa has to have one, and it can't be too big indoors. 150 times is good enough. Zhou Jie thought as he directly chose 150 times gravity. An hour later, Zhou Jie came out of the gravity room. The netherworld armor automatically covered his naked upper body. Zhou Jie didn't sweat at all. Even his breathing wasn't very fast. "I'm indeed much stronger. 150 times the normal gravity isn't too much of a pressure," Zhou Jie said in his heart. He looked at the time. It was almost 11 o'clock, and he planned to go for lunch. There were all kinds of delicious food on the lunch table. There were a total of 12 dishes, all of which were made with precious ingredients. If it was in Japan, it would be at least as expensive as a presidential banquet. Now, it was just a normal meal for Zhou Jie. Just this meal alone cost me 12 points. My points are being consumed quite quickly. Zhou Jie looked at his ID card, which showed that he only had 988 points left. He couldn't help but look at the dishes on the table in front of him and frown slightly. However, Zhou Jie naturally wouldn't eat and drink like this. This time, he was just happy and wanted to relax. Therefore, he authorized White Robe number 2 to buy the ingredients and make the dishes. The ingredients were all available in the base, and they would be delivered in a few minutes. While eating, Zhou Jie looked at the history of the 100 Stars Challenge. The 3 most recent ones were from Qin Feng and the other 2. Qin Feng and the other 2 actually passed the 50th level. Zhou Jie looked at the information and his eyes lit up. The 50th level. That's 3,100 points. It should be the easiest to get points. If I want to get more points, I'll have to do missions. Speaking of missions, Zhou Jie's heart skipped a beat. He clicked on the Cultivation Points tab. There were many missions that gave points as rewards and a simple description of the mission. Hunt a planet-eating beast in the Misty Star Ocean. Mission requirement: 1 Star Lord. Reward: 5,000 points. There's no limit to the number of participants. So, I can form a team, but the reward is still only 5,000 points. Zhou Jie looked at the first mission and couldn't help but read it aloud. This mission should be specially prepared for newcomers. It's updated every half a year. There's a limit to 1 Star Lord. 2 stars aren't allowed. Page by page, Zhou Jie flipped through the missions on the screen until he reached the end, 50,000 points. Only a 5-star lord can accept it. The content is indeed dangerous. With that, Zhou Jie put away his identity card and finished the last bit of food on the table. Then, he got up and walked out of the villa. The 100 Stars Challenge is about 50 kilometers away from here. I won't take a spaceship. Jogging there will be a good warm-up. As Zhou Jie spoke, he walked out of the villa's main door, jumped more than 10 meters, and began the so-called jog. However, with Zhou Jie's current recovery ability, this kind of speed consumed very little energy. It would take less than an hour to run 50 kilometers. For Zhou Jie, the burden was only equivalent to an athlete jogging a kilometer. After 50 minutes, Zhou Jie arrived at the open space in front of the 100 Stars Challenge. The 100 Stars Challenge, as a whole, was like a square tunnel built on the surface of the earth. It stretched straight for more than 1,500 meters. Zhou Jie flashed to the closed entrance of the 100 Stars Challenge and put his identity card into the card slot. The card slot immediately swallowed the identity card, and a voice prompt sounded. Zhou Jie, identity confirmed. Please come back to collect your identity card after completing the challenge. The challenge begins now. As soon as the voice finished, the door in front of Zhou Jie quickly opened on both sides. Zhou Jie walked straight in. Oh, it's so small? Zhou Jie said in surprise as soon as he entered. It was no wonder Zhou Jie was so surprised. It turned out that the space of the first challenge of the 100 Stars Challenge was only about 5 meters wide. However, it was more than 20 meters long. This made Zhou Jie feel a little awkward. The door closed behind him. The floor and ceiling of the space where Zhou Jie was located emitted light, which just happened to illuminate the space clearly. Then, supergravity descended. However, Zhou Jie withstood it easily. It's only 150 times the gravity, Zhou Jie muttered to himself. He felt that the gravity was the same as the one he had trained with in the morning. Attack the door in front of you. The accumulation of attacks has reached the threshold. The door will open automatically. You may enter the second challenge. At this moment, a mechanical voice prompted. Zhou Jie's eyes fell on the white metal door about 5 meters in front of him. Then, Zhou Jie stepped forward and threw a punch. Open! Boom! The door opened quickly. Chapter 93. Zhou Jie entered the space of the second stage, and the instructions he received were the same as the first stage. Zhou Jie did the same and easily entered the third stage. From the first to the 9th stage, the content of the test was the same, but the requirement for the strength to open the door gradually increased. However, with Zhou Jie's strength, all the doors were easily opened with a single punch. 10th stage, the door closed behind him, and Zhou Jie was slightly surprised when he saw what was in front of him. It turned out that the 10th level was no longer like the previous 9 levels, which were carried out in a space that was no more than 100 square meters. Instead, it was more than 400 square meters. The horizontal length was still more than 20 meters, and the vertical width of about 5 meters had also become more than 20 meters. Moreover, there was a mecha that was more than 3 meters tall facing Zhou Jie, standing 10 meters away. This was also the reason why Zhou Jie was somewhat surprised. A mechanical king soldier? Zhou Jie took a closer look at the mechanical suit. Although it was very different from a mechanical king soldier, Zhou Jie had only seen one type of mechanical king soldier before, which was the type in the 100 Mechanic Tower. Naturally, he would think that this mechanical suit was a mechanical king soldier. However, the mechanical suit in front of Zhou Jie was indeed not a mechanical king soldier. The mechanical king soldier was created by the Mechanic King, and its performance was almost unparalleled in the star field. Even though the Mechanic King could be considered half a member of the Star Sword Alliance, he would not casually give the mechanical king soldier to the Star Sword Alliance. Therefore, the mechanical suit in front of Zhou Jie was just a self-made one by the Star Sword Alliance. Defeat the mechanical suit warrior in 1 minute and you will enter the next stage. As the notification sounded, the eyes of the mechanical suit warrior in front of Zhou Jie lit up with a green glow, and its limbs stretched out. As soon as the notification sounded, Zhou Jie moved. A distance of 10 meters, even under 150 times the gravity, was just a blink of an eye for Zhou Jie. Dong! The mechanical suit warrior fell to the ground. After a beep, the door in front opened automatically. On the 11th level, the space was once again the same size as the previous 9 levels. However, after the door closed, the gravity that descended was directly increased to 200 times the standard gravity. The notification that Zhou Jie received still told him to attack the front door. For Zhou Jie, this was a piece of cake. In less than a minute, Zhou Jie arrived at the 20th checkpoint. Mechanical king weapon, exactly the same. This time, Zhou Jie's eyes lit up. The appearance of the mecha in front of him was exactly the same as the one he had encountered at the Byway Tower. The requirement to clear the 20th level was still a knockout. Therefore, after the mechanical king soldier's eyes lit up with a blue light, Zhou Jie boom. The mechanical king soldier fell to the ground. The door opened, and Zhou Jie entered the 21st level. After entering the 21st level, Zhou Jie frowned when the supergravity descended. 250 times the gravity? If it had been before the breakthrough, Zhou Jie would have found it quite difficult to break through a door that required at least a 1-star lord's attack to open under 250 times the gravity. Furthermore, according to the previous pattern, if the 31st level had 300 times the gravity, he probably would not have lasted more than 10 seconds. After all, 300 times the gravity was far beyond what his body could withstand. However, now that he had become a Star Lord, even Zhou Jie himself said that he felt 10 times stronger. 250 times the gravity was a piece of cake for him. What he was worried about was that, if this continued, the 51st level of the 100 Stars Fortress would have 400 times the gravity. Even a normal 1-star lord would not be able to withstand it for long. No wonder Qin Feng and the others stopped after passing the 50th level. After all, they had passed the first level consecutively, and the consumption was accumulated. After the 50th level, even they would not be able to withstand it anymore, right? Zhou Jie thought to himself, but he did not slow down at all. He had already passed the 21st level. Zhou Jie arrived at the 50th level. As he expected, the 41st level was 350 times the gravity. Even if a normal 1-star lord stayed there without moving, they would be injured within a few hours. At the 50th level, Zhou Jie was still facing a mechanical king soldier, which made Zhou Jie feel a little strange. Previously, at the 30th level, it was also a mechanical king soldier, but the light in its eyes had turned red. However, Zhou Jie was still able to knock it down in one move. At the 40th level, it was still a mechanical king soldier, but the light in its eyes had turned purplish-black. Zhou Jie actually did not manage to knock it down in one move. Instead, he had to add a throwing knife. The original form of Catus blade was a throwing knife, but it had turned into a katana before he was able to knock it down. The 50th level was another mechanical king soldier. Zhou Jie naturally felt strange. Could this mechanical king soldier be stronger? However, very soon, when the eyes of the mechanical king soldier in front of him lit up, Zhou Jie realized that although the appearance of this mechanical king soldier was almost the same as before, there were still some differences. Even the light in its eyes had patterns. Zhou Jie attacked at lightning speed, but this mechanical king soldier actually reacted and blocked in front of itself with its rod. Zhou Jie stepped on the rod and pushed the mechanical king soldier back 2 steps, but it did not seem to be unstable at all. Swoosh! Then, the mechanical king soldier swung its rod at Zhou Jie. Its speed and strength were both shocking, and even the heavy air produced a muffled sound. However, Zhou Jie did not even look at the rod. Catus's blade flew out and collided with the tip of the rod. Boom! The air exploded, and the mechanical king soldier took another step back. Zhou Jie had already taken advantage of the momentum and stepped on the mechanical king soldier's head. Dong! The huge mechanical king soldier knelt on the ground with one knee. Catus's blade flew out again, directly infused with the concept, a thin line of sky. Even if the mechanical king soldier wanted to raise its rod to block, it was too late. The flying knife hit the mechanical king soldier's face, and sparks flew. The energy wave passed through the mechanical king soldier's body, causing it to fall to the ground. Let's go to the 51st level, Zhou Jie said to himself. He had become a 1-star lord with a perfect stellar core. According to Kakashi, his strength would be much stronger than the average star lord of the same level. Zhou Jie, who had just become a 1-star lord, was already comparable to a peak 1-star lord. In addition, Zhou Jie himself was a genius and could fight those above his level. Qin Feng and the others might not have the confidence to pass the 60th level, but Zhou Jie felt that he still had some hope. After entering the 51st level, the supergravity arrived as expected, a full 400 times. Even Zhou Jie felt the pressure and frowned. 400 times the gravity is really scary. It's already my limit. Even if I don't move, I won't last half a day. Zhou Jie thought to himself and looked at the door in front of him. The order was still to attack the door. Zhou Jie immediately attacked, and every attack was several times stronger than his concept, a thin line of sky. Boom, boom, boom. The energy accumulation display bar beside the door rose crazily. In one breath, it exceeded 80%, and in another breath, it passed 90%. Finally, with a side kick from Zhou Jie, the display bar rose directly from 95% to 100%. Ka! The heavy door opened, and Zhou Jie's breathing became heavier. This way, even if I make it to the 60th level, the energy consumption will be too great. I might not be able to pass the 60th level. Zhou Jie calmed himself down, thought for a while, and turned around. End of level. In an instant, the supergravity disappeared, and the door to the 52nd level behind Zhou Jie closed. The door to the 51st level, which Zhou Jie had just entered, opened quickly, followed by the door to the 50th level, the door to the 49th level, all the way until the door to the first level opened in 2 seconds. Zhou Jie waited until the door to the first level opened before moving like an arrow toward the door. In just 2 or 3 breaths, Zhou Jie landed in front of the door to the first level of the 100 Stars Pass. After verifying his identity and retrieving the identity card, Zhou Jie turned around and prepared to leave. At the same time, he opened the identity card and looked at the cultivation points. Seeing that the points had increased to 4,408, he couldn't help but feel happy. This was the feeling of being rich, so it was naturally good. But at this time, Zhou Jie suddenly felt an aura in front of him. He couldn't help but look up in confusion. What he saw was a beautiful woman in a tight white soft armor walking toward Zhou Jie. Seeing Zhou Jie, she was also confused. However, that was just the subconscious reaction of the beautiful woman when she saw Zhou Jie at the beginning. Very soon, she accelerated toward Zhou Jie with a smile on her face. "Hi, did you just pass the 100 stars pass?" Zhou Jie stood in his original position a dozen meters away. That beauty asked. Her voice was extremely pleasant to the ears, as clear and melodious as wind chimes. Zhou Jie was briefly stunned, but then he nodded and said, "Yes, and you are? My name is Yuan Rong. I've been in the elite training base for less than 4 months. I became a Star Lord not long ago, so I made an appointment to pass the 100 stars pass." Yuan Rong smiled and said, "However, it seems that you were 1 step ahead of me when I made the appointment, so I was right behind you. What a coincidence." Chapter 94. Oh. Zhou Jie nodded. However, he didn't know the rules of the 100 stars pass, so he didn't know why the other party was behind him. Since the other party had said so, he didn't want to delve into it, so he just nodded as if he understood. But then, Zhou Jie suddenly thought of something. He looked at Yuan Rong and asked, "Oh right, your surname is Yuan? Do you know Yuan Qingkong?" Yuan Rong was startled by the question. She hesitated for a moment, but after 2 or 3 seconds she nodded and said, "I know him. He's my cousin, but before I was born, my uncle betrayed the family because he went against the marriage alliance. I only heard about it from my father, so I know that I have such a cousin. It's said that he's the champion of this year's genius competition." Yuan Rong suddenly realized this and asked Zhou Jie, "Oh right, you still haven't told me your name." "I see." Zhou Jie thought to himself after hearing Yuan Rong's answer, but he still said, "My name is Zhou Jie." "Zhou Jie?" Yuan Rong repeated Zhou Jie's name, and her eyes lit up. "The champion of this year's genius competition is you? You're amazing." Zhou Jie was very calm when he heard this. He shook his head slightly and said, "It's not worth mentioning. Yuan Qingkong and Veronica are the real amazing ones." Yuan Rong pursed her lips when she heard this, but she also said, "Yes, my cousin is amazing. My father said that uncle was also a genius in the family, but I didn't expect his son to be even more talented than him. I heard that some of the elders in the family want to find uncle and cousin Yuan, but my father said that with uncle's temper, it's unlikely that they'll come back." "Yes." Zhou Jie nodded. He couldn't help but feel that this beauty was really talkative. "Hey, is the 100 stars pass difficult? The last few people have only reached the 50th level." Yuan Rong blinked her big black eyes and asked Zhou Jie. Zhou Jie looked at her and lowered his head. He replied, "It's not very difficult. You've just become a Star Lord, so you can also pass the 50th level. However, the 41st to 50th level is 350 times gravity, and the 51st level is 400 times gravity. You're a girl, so you'll have to pass the 50th level." "Oh, thank you. I'll start." Yuan Rong smiled at Zhou Jie as she spoke. Her eyes were like crescent moons, which made Zhou Jie's heart throb. Zhou Jie couldn't help but be shocked. As a former assassin, resisting the temptation of women was a compulsory course. Even if it was a very charming woman, Zhou Jie could easily ignore them. But facing a pure beauty like Yuan Rong, he actually had an indescribable feeling of being moved. Zhou Jie frowned after realizing that. Yuan Rong bypassed Zhou Jie at this moment and walked to the gate of the 100 stars pass. Zhou Jie couldn't help but look back. Then, He shook his head and flashed away. Back at his villa, Zhou Jie sat down and drank a glass of water. Then, he took out his ID card and planned to contact Qin Feng to ask how they were doing with the mission. However, when Zhou Jie initiated a video call with Qin Feng, he was prompted that the other party had blocked the communication. Zhou Jie immediately understood. It should be that Qin Feng and the others were in the middle of a mission. It was inconvenient for them to answer the call, so the communication was blocked. It's normal for a mission to take 10 days to half a month. The main thing is that they are still on the road. Qin Feng and the others should have already started the mission. So, it will take at least a week before they come back, right? Zhou Jie thought. He unconsciously clicked on the cultivation points and looked at the mission column again. This time, Zhou Jie planned to choose a mission and wait for Qin Feng and the others to come back to do it together. Some missions are limited to a single person. There aren't many missions that can be completed by a team. Zhou Jie casually clicked on a few missions with 5,000 points and found that they were all limited to a single person, so he skipped them. For Zhou Jie, he was confident that he could complete these solo missions with 5,000 points. However, he felt a little guilty about Qin Feng and the others waiting for him to do the mission together. In addition, he wanted to cultivate a friendship with them, so he planned to do the first mission with them. After completing the mission, Zhou Jie planned to enter the realm of 6 paths in seclusion and enter the battle of the 6 paths. He had always been curious about this. As he flipped through, Zhou Jie finished looking through the missions with 5,000 points. He found that apart from the Hunt a Planet-Eating Beast in the Misty Star Sea mission, there were no other missions that allowed multiple people to form a team. This means that Qin Feng and the others have accepted this mission. This means that they won't be able to accept another mission for half a year. Zhou Jie couldn't help but shake his head at this thought. Didn't this mean that he wouldn't be able to do missions with Qin Feng and the others? After hesitating for a moment, Zhou Jie continued looking through the missions, but this time, he was looking at missions with 10,000 points. No limit? Zhou Jie quickly found a mission with no limit, and the mission's strength was limited to a 1-star lord. However, Zhou Jie frowned when he saw the mission's content. Explore the unknown areas of Dust Sea Planet. Use instruments to draw a map of a certain range. Based on the exploration range of a single person, every additional person will increase the exploration range by 50%. Everyone will receive 10,000 points for each mission. P.S. This mission has a certain degree of danger and unknown risk. Everyone can only take it once. However, Zhou Jie's eyebrows soon relaxed. How can missions not be dangerous? Let's look at the mission details first. As Zhou Jie spoke, he clicked on the mission details. First, it introduced the situation of Dust Sea Planet. Then, there were some points to pay attention to during the mission. There were also pictures and information about the instruments and equipment provided for the mission. After a brief look, Zhou Jie felt that the mission was not that dangerous. However, Dust Sea Planet was once occupied by a Lord-level expert. Its core area was densely covered with formations, and no one had been able to enter his lair until now. The entire planet was covered with formations, so almost every part of Dust Sea Planet had a harsh environment. It was difficult for anyone below the Star Lord level to stay there for long. Since Dust Sea Planet was very large, the lair of this Lord-level expert had been determined. However, no one had been able to enter, so it was temporarily ignored. In other parts of Dust Sea Planet, the people of the Star Sword Alliance had also found some precious mineral deposit. Therefore, Dust Sea Planet had been constantly explored since its discovery. However, after more than 1,000 years, only half of the planet had been explored. The reason why only half of the planet had been explored after such a long time was mainly because Lord-level experts would constantly trigger formations when they moved around on Dust Sea Planet. At the beginning of the exploration, several Lord-level experts were injured. Therefore, after finding the lair of the planet's owner, these Lord-level experts realized that they could not enter, so they did not want to waste time on Dust Sea Planet. After all, for Lord-level experts, even mineral deposits worth trillions of star coins were dispensable. It was only because the Star Sword Alliance maintained a large organization like the Star Sword Alliance that they continued to send people to explore Dust Sea Planet and let the Star Sword Alliance monopolize the resources on the planet. Except for the lair of the planet's owner, which was where no Lord-level experts could enter, Dust Sea Planet had not caused much of a stir until now. Mechanical King soldiers will mysteriously disappear when exploring, and there is no way to communicate on the planet. It can only be explored slowly by people piloting mechanical suits, or by Star Lords wearing equipment. That's the fastest way. After reading the whole story of the mission source, Zhou Jie finally understood. After thinking for a while, he decided that if there were no better missions, he would accept this mission. Then, Zhou Jie continued to look through the missions, but all the way until he reached the mission with 15,000 points, he did not find any missions that could be taken by more people. Starting from 15,000 points, there are some with the strength of a 2-star lord, and the rest are at least a peak 1-star lord. Zhou Jie looked and could not help but shake his head. Even if I become a Star Lord with a perfect star core, I'm afraid I'll only be a peak 1-star lord, right? Putting away his identity card, Zhou Jie stood up and planned to take a look at the 6 Paths of Wonder while Qin Feng and the others were not back yet. A few minutes later, Zhou Jie entered the secret underground room on the first floor and released Kakashi from his spatial ring. Chapter 95. Jocko, you're done already? Didn't you say you're going to challenge the 100 Stars challenge first before doing the mission? Kakashi asked as soon as he saw Zhou Jie. I'm going to do a mission with a few friends, but they haven't returned yet. I'll probably have to wait for a week. Is there anything I can learn in the 6 Paths Pagoda during this time? Zhou Jie explained and asked Kakashi in return. Kakashi was overjoyed when he heard that Zhou Jie was going to enter the 6 Paths Pagoda. He said excitedly, "Of course. Jocko, since you've become a Star Lord, you must be able to sense the elemental laws. Then, you can start learning the secret arts taught by the 6 Tower Masters. You can go in and take a look and choose what you want to learn. You'll still have to learn the basics yourself." "Okay, then let me enter the 6 Paths realm," Zhou Jie said. "Okay," Kakashi said excitedly and took out the crystal ball, the 6 Paths world. "Wait," Zhou Jie suddenly said and threw his identity card to Kakashi. "Take my identity card. If there's any news from Qin Feng, Lu Haoran, or Miyazaki Naganabu, let me out." Kakashi took the identity card and looked at Zhou Jie. "No problem, Jocko. But now that you've become a Star Lord, you can control the 6 Paths world. I'll teach you how to control it now. Then, you'll be able to enter and exit the 6 Paths world on your own." Zhou Jie heard and nodded. "Okay, but I'll leave the 6 Paths world with you. I'm afraid I'll lose it." Kakashi, however, said, "There's no way to control the 6 Paths world. Even Emperor, you can't enter the 6 Paths realm through it. Besides, Jocko, once you control it, you'll be able to sense its location. You won't lose it unless—" "That's exactly what I meant." Zhou Jie looked at Kakashi and said calmly. "Ugh. No, Jocko, you're going to become an Imperial Emperor and Emperor you. Jocko, you're the best." Kakashi chuckled. Zhou Jie. A few minutes later, Zhou Jie completed the control of the 6 Paths world and entered the 6 Paths realm. Kakashi, on the other hand, stayed in the underground secret room, ready to inform Zhou Jie of the situation outside. Unlike the previous time when he entered the 6 Paths realm, Zhou Jie now had control of the 6 Paths world. He had an inexplicable connection with the entire 6 Paths realm. This allowed him to sense 2 unusual ripples in the boundless 6 Paths realm. They were the Six Paths Pagoda and the Precious Bough Pavilion. However, every time he teleported, he would appear near the Six Paths Pagoda. Zhou Jie also saw the Six Paths Pagoda and he immediately approached it. When he got close enough, the familiar ripples spread throughout his body. Zhou Jie felt his vision blurring and he appeared in the bright white space of the Six Paths Pagoda. When Zhou Jie got used to his surroundings, he saw a man in black pants 5 meters away from him. The man looked to be around 16 or 17 years old and his naked upper body was muscular. "Your Highness." The man in black pants looked at Zhou Jie and called out. Zhou Jie was stunned at first, but he soon remembered that the man in black pants was called Zhou Mianti, the Divine Body Dao Pagoda's owner. So, just as Zhou Jie was about to greet him, the space beside Zhou Mianti rippled slightly and 5 figures appeared at the same time. They were the other 5 pagoda masters. "Huh! Greetings to the 6 seniors." Zhou Jie quickly changed his mind. The 6 pagoda masters saw him and it was the Divine Martial Dao Pagoda's owner, Zhou Tianwu. He said, "Your Highness, there's no need to be so polite. I see that Your Highness has become a Star Lord. You can accept our inheritance now." Seeing that Zhou Tianwu went straight to the point, Zhou Jie nodded and said, "Yes, this junior is here to learn some secret techniques. However, I may only have a week's time, so I'm just starting. Is it okay with you?" After saying this, Zhou Jie couldn't help but feel a little restrained. He lowered his head and waited for Zhou Tianwu and the others to reply. When Zhou Tianwu and the others heard this, they looked at each other and communicated telepathically. It was Zhou Tianwu who replied, "Of course, but Your Highness, since you don't have time now, you can only choose one path to learn. After you learn one path, you can learn the other 5 paths. This is also a small test for Your Highness. Which path does Your Highness intend to learn?" Which path to learn? After hearing Zhou Tianwu's words, Zhou Jie was a little confused. After all, he didn't even know what the 6 paths were for. How could he choose? As if he knew Zhou Jie's difficulties, Zhou Tianwu quickly said, "How about this? Your Highness still doesn't know the direction of the 6 paths. Let the 6 of us explain to Your Highness and provide you with the secret techniques to learn. Your Highness can make a decision after you have no questions." "Okay, that's it." Zhou Jie nodded immediately. "Well, then we'll follow the order. Miaoti, you go first." Zhou Tianwu looked at Miaoti and took half a step back. Miaoti, the young man in black pants, nodded slightly at Zhou Tianwu. Then he turned to Zhou Jie and said, "Your Highness, I'm the host of the inheritance of the Divine Physique Path. The secret technique I recommend you to learn is the 9 changes of stars. The threshold for this technique is relatively low. If you cultivate it to the advanced level, you can increase your size to the size of a star. You can hold the sun and the moon and pick the stars." Hold the sun and the moon and pick the stars? Zhou Jie couldn't help but be shocked when he heard Miaoti's so-called advanced level secret technique. The corners of his eyes twitched slightly. That was too exaggerated, wasn't it? However, after Miaoti finished speaking, he turned to Zhou Zhihuan, who was wearing a tight black dress. Zhou Zhihuan also said to Zhou Jie, "Your Highness, I'm the host of the Divine Soul Path. The secret technique I recommend you to learn is the secret technique of Heart Force. This is also the strongest secret technique of the Divine Soul in the Holy Land. It was created by the Holy Lord himself. It's not easy to learn, but the Divine Soul is the most important. Your Highness can also consider learning it first. As for the advanced level of this secret technique, it's amazing. All of Your Highness's moves and secret techniques will be greatly enhanced. At the same time, you can create a world with a thought and move reincarnation with a thought." After listening to Zhou Zhihuan's words, Zhou Jie's throat tightened. He couldn't stay calm anymore. This was really too exaggerated. Then it was Zhou Tianwu's turn. He said, "Your Highness, I'm the host of the Divine Martial Path. I recommend you to learn the Wuji Divine Hands first. This secret technique also requires you to temper your body. It's suitable for you to learn it together with the 9 changes of stars. Your Highness can consider it. After saying that, Zhou Tianwu signaled to Zhou Longwei that it was his turn. Zhou Longwei, who looked like a meatball, immediately gave Zhou Jie a wretched smile and said, "Your Highness, I am the Divine Might Pagoda Master. I recommend Your Highness Divine Might technique. Like Sister Jihuan's Heart Force secret technique, this Divine Might technique was also created by the Divine Lord. It is the only secret technique that my Divine Might path cultivate. If this secret technique is cultivated to great completion, it is as simple as killing someone with a single glance. However, this secret technique is even more difficult than the Heart Force secret technique. Your Highness can put it aside for now and cultivate another secret technique." Then it was the red-bearded old man Zhou Moji's turn. He said, "Your Highness, I'm the Divine Tactics Path's Pagoda Master. My Divine Tactics Path cultivates only one secret technique, which leads to the peak. This secret technique is called the 1,000 Tactics Transformation. It's mainly about formations, puppets, talismans, seals, and other auxiliary technique. It covers a wide range of areas and requires a lot of time to learn. Your Highness can also put it aside for now." The last one to speak was the baby Zhou Goduan, who had a pacifier in his mouth. He used his childish voice to speak like an old man. "Your Highness, I'm in charge of the Divine Escape Path. As the name suggests, it's an escape technique and a way to save one's life. My path has many secret techniques. According to my recommendation, Your Highness can first learn a simple secret technique called the 3,000 Thunders Illusion Body. This is also the way to practice the unfettered wandering. However, the main purpose of this technique is to save one's life. If Your Highness wants to increase your combat ability, you can first learn the secret techniques of the Divine Physique Path or the Divine Martial Path." After the 6 pagoda masters finished speaking, Zhou Jie's mouth was slightly open. At this moment, he nodded in a daze and said, "Okay, then I'll choose the entry secret technique of the Divine Martial Path, the Limitless Divine Hands." Seeing that Zhou Jie had made his decision so quickly, Zhou Tianwu smiled and nodded. "Okay, since Your Highness has chosen my secret technique, then follow me." Chapter 96. Haha, Your Highness' eyes are indeed extraordinary. The Tao of the Martial Emperor is indeed much stronger than ours. At this time, Zhou Jihuan suddenly smiled charmingly. Her laughter was so moving that it made Zhou Jie's body go limp. "This woman is really scary." Zhou Jie noticed and couldn't help but exclaim. "Haha, the Martial Emperor is the only transcendent among us. His Tao is worlds apart from ours. Whether it's little sister Jihuan's Heart Force secret technique, brother Mog's 1,000 transformation method, or my Divine Array technique, the peak of their Tao is only Emperor Universe realm. It's extremely difficult to become a transcendent. We haven't even succeeded." The fat Zhou Longwei followed up with a smile. It was as if he was trying to flatter Zhou Tianwu. When Zhou Tianwu heard their words, he said, "Becoming a transcendent doesn't just depend on what secret technique you practice. To become a transcendent, you either have to deduce a Tao to the extreme and be on par with the heavenly Tao, or you have to fuse 10,000 Taos and create your own Tao to reach the same height as the heavenly Tao. These two paths lead to the same destination, but they are different for everyone. The path of transcendence can only be explored by yourself." When Zhou Tianwu said this, the other 5 tower masters fell silent. Each of them had a thoughtful look on their faces. But soon, Zhou Xiadi said, "All right, we're all dead. What's left of our souls will be obliterated by the transcendent law once we go out. Don't think about becoming a transcendent. Let's go and let Big Brother Tian Wu teach Your Highness the everlasting sacred hand." The other 4 pagoda masters responded in unison. Soon after, other than Zhou Tianwu, the other pagoda masters disappeared. "Your Highness, follow me," Zhou Tianwu said at this time. Then, Zhou Jie felt the space around him fluctuate. He had already followed Zhou Tianwu to the bottom of a cliff. Zhou Jie was a little surprised by the sudden change in scenery. However, when he realized that other than the cliff in front of him, there was still a bright white space behind him, he seemed to understand something and didn't ask any questions. At this time, Zhou Tianwu turned to look at Zhou Jie and said to him, "Your Highness, this limitless Saint Hands has a total of 5 realms. They are respectively Tai Chi Hands, Heaven and Earth Great Shift, Stealing Yin and Yang, Seizing Good Fortune, and Limitless Tao. Since your Highness is the first to enter the sect, you should first learn the Tai Chi Hands! Zhou Jie felt that he couldn't understand anyway, so he just followed along and nodded. "Then I'll demonstrate it once. Your Highness, watch carefully." As Zhou Tianwu spoke, he turned his body to face Zhou Jie. His legs were slightly bent, and his hands began to slowly move in front of him. Seeing this, Zhou Jie couldn't help but frown, because the technique Zhou Tianwu was displaying was too slow. Furthermore, it was very similar to an ancient martial art he had seen before called Tai Chi. Zhou Jie originally felt that Tai Chi was not as effective as other ancient martial arts in increasing one's strength, so he didn't learn it. However, gradually, Zhou Tianwu's hands began to emit traces of energy fluctuations, and the speed of his hands' movement also increased by a lot. What made Zhou Jie's eyes light up the most was that Zhou Tianwu's movement trajectory was extremely perfect, as if it was completely natural, causing people to be unable to take their eyes off it. At some point, Zhou Tianwu's hands moved faster and faster, forming an energy barrier in front of him. It also affected the energy of the 6 Paths Pagoda, which spontaneously integrated into the movement of his hands. Rumble! Soon, the scene in front of him made Zhou Jie's eyes widen. As Zhou Tianwu's hands suddenly moved at a great speed, the surrounding energy surged and gathered like a tidal wave, and was led by Zhou Tianwu's palm to the side of the cliff. Boom! With a loud bang, a deep hole was blasted open on the cliff. The palm print, however, didn't fly more than a meter before it suddenly disappeared. Zhou Jie naturally didn't have time to pay attention to where the rocks went. Instead, his eyes lit up as he looked at the palm print left on the cliff. He opened his mouth to say something, but no words came out. At this time, Zhou Tianwu had already turned around to look at Zhou Jie and said, "Just now, I only used a trace of energy to move it, so it needed to be prepared to unleash such a powerful palm strike. If you can master the Tai Chi hand, then with your strength as a 1-star lord, it'll be easy for you to unleash a palm strike with the power of a 2-star lord, and you'll be able to continuously unleash it." Amazing! Zhou Jie couldn't help but exclaim in admiration after seeing the effects of the Tai Chi hand, and hearing Zhou Tianwu's words. However, in the next second, Zhou Jie was a little worried. This Tai Chi hand seemed simple, but learning it would probably be like learning the ancient martial art Tai Chi. It would take him 10 years to unleash it, right? Then how long would it take for him to master it? As if he could see Zhou Jie's worry, Zhou Tianwu quickly said, "Your Highness, this Tai Chi hand is very simple and doesn't involve any laws. I believe that as long as your Highness practices diligently, you'll be able to master it in a month." Zhou Jie was a little surprised to hear Zhou Tianwu say this. Just as he was about to say something, Zhou Tianwu raised his hand and a stream of light flew out. It split into 2 and sank into Zhou Jie's hands. Zhou Jie was shocked to see this. He felt his palms heat up and couldn't help but ask, "Senior, this is?" Zhou Tianwu explained, "Follow the guidance of the heat flow in your palms and practice for a while. I estimate that you'll be able to grasp the basics of the technique in less than an hour. Then, I'll guide you to the next step. I estimate that your Highness will be able to master the Tai Chi hand in less than a week." Really? Zhou Jie heard this and couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. He could master such a powerful Tai Chi hand in a week? Your Highness, start practicing first. Whether you can master it or not depends on how hard Your Highness works. Nothing can be done well without perseverance and hard work. Zhou Tianwu saw Zhou Jie's reaction and immediately said with a sharp look in his eyes, "Okay." Zhou Jie then calmed down and began to slowly move his hands according to the guidance of the heat flow in his palms. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. Speaking of which, Zhou Jie's calculation was accurate. Qin Feng and the others did indeed complete the mission on this day and returned to the base. After Zhou Jie contacted Qin Feng that day but to no avail, he sent him a message and asked him to find him in the villa after completing the mission. He also told him that he would be in seclusion for a few days. On this day, after Qin Feng and the other two returned, they handed in the mission items and collectively went to Zhou Jie's villa. Jocko is probably still in seclusion. If he doesn't reply when we contact him, let's get his butler to inform him, Qin Feng and Lu Haoran said to the two people beside them as they walked on the road to Zhou Jie's villa. This kid, he just broke through and went into seclusion again. He really is a cultivation maniac, Lu Haoran couldn't help but say. Miyazaki Naganabu followed up and said, Zhou Jie broke through 100 stars and 51 stars in one go. It can be seen that although he broke through so long ago, his strength didn't fall behind at all. Well, Jocko is still you, Jocko, he. Qin Feng laughed. In the underground chamber of Zhou Jie's villa, Kakashi had entered the realm of 6 paths to find Zhou Jie. At the same time, Zhou Jie was still practicing the Tai Chi hand. He slammed his palms on the cliff, leaving palm prints that were more than 10 centimeters deep. Your Highness, Kakashi is here. He should be looking for you, Zhou Tianwu suddenly said. Zhou Jie heard and immediately stopped. He patted his head and said, Then it should be a friend looking for me. I should go out. Well, then I will send you out. Zhou Tianwu nodded. After a while, Zhou Jie and Kakashi flashed out of the 6 paths world. Kakashi kept the 6 paths world, and Zhou Jie walked to the seat cushion in the room, picked up his identity card and immediately contacted Qin Feng. A few minutes later, Zhou Jie and Qin Feng sat down in the hall on the first floor. For a moment they were chatting happily. Not bad, a mission with 10,000 points. They said that there are unknown dangers, but we only explored a small area. We just need to be careful. This mission is easy. After hearing that Zhou Jie was going to accept the mission, Dust Sea Star Exploration, Qin Feng immediately said. He did not think that the mission was dangerous at all. With the 4 of us, we can take care of each other in the face of danger. Besides, it is usually not that dangerous. Lu Haoran also said. 10,000 points for all 4 of us. This mission should be specially prepared for us newbies. You know, the 5,000 points for this mission are split among the 3 of us. Miyazaki Naganabu also nodded and said. Seeing that the 3 of them agreed, Zhou Jie smiled and said, Then it is settled. But you have just returned from a mission. Rest for 2 days and make some preparations. We will depart after 2 days. What do you think? Okay. No problem. Okay. Qin Feng and the other 2 answered one after another. Chapter 97. Then, Zhou Jie invited Qin Feng and the others to stay and have lunch at his place. Qin Feng and the others naturally agreed. Zhou Jie took out his ID badge to order some ingredients and asked man in white number 2 to cook. However, after Zhou Jie clicked on his ID badge, he saw a notification from a few days ago. It was from the base's system. Huh? Battle points? Zhou Jie couldn't help but be surprised when he saw that the notification was about the opening of a new function. Then, he closed the notification and saw the icon of a new function on the screen. It was none other than battle points. Hearing Zhou Jie's question, Qin Feng looked at it and said with a smile, "Oh, that's right. Jocko, you've just become a Star Lord. This function was opened after you became a Star Lord. We've already opened it, but it doesn't seem to be of much use." "Is that so?" Zhou Jie asked without raising his head. Then, he clicked on the battle points and read the content. Qin Feng waited for a few seconds until Zhou Jie was almost done reading the content of the battle points. He said, "It's basically a battle with someone and betting on cultivation points. But we're all newcomers. Who can we fight with? What's more, this bet can only be carried out if both parties agree. If we weren't idiots, we wouldn't have agreed to a duel with such a huge difference in strength. It's only useful when two people with similar strength want to settle their grudges." "Okay." Zhou Jie nodded after reading the content of the battle points. Then, he continued with his original purpose, to order ingredients. After Zhou Jie ordered the ingredients, everybody began to chat. Then, Qin Feng and the others began to talk about their experiences during the mission. Zhou Jie listened with great interest. Half an hour later, Zhou Jie and the others were almost done talking. The first dish and the tableware were served by man in black number 2. So, Zhou Jie and the others began to eat. After eating for a few minutes, Qin Feng took out his ID badge and looked at it. At some point, there's a newcomer in the base. Judging from the name, it seems to be a woman, Qin Feng suddenly said. Lu Haoren and Miyazaki Naganabu both raised their eyebrows and became interested. Zhou Jie also raised his eyebrows. He swallowed the food in his mouth and said, "Yes, it's a woman. I've seen her." Almost at the same time, the gazes of Qin Feng and the other two converged on Zhou Jie as they asked in surprise. Seeing this, Zhou Jie's body stiffened. After looking at the three people separately, he couldn't help but ask strangely, "What's wrong? Why are you looking at me? Is she beautiful? Is her figure good?" Qin Feng immediately asked Zhou Jie. "Zhou Jie, don't tell me you two are also." Zhou Jie couldn't help but look at Lu Haoren and Miyazaki Naganabu. He felt that Qin Feng's question was understandable, but Lu Haoren and Miyazaki Naganabu didn't seem like people who lacked women. Especially Lu Haoren, he was definitely a handsome man. Moreover, his family background was so good. "Tell me about it. It just so happens that I don't have a girlfriend," Lu Haoren answered indifferently. Miyazaki Naganabu nodded at the side and didn't say anything. Therefore, Zhou Jie had no choice but to say, "She's very beautiful. Her figure. I didn't pay much attention to it, but her legs are very nice." As soon as Zhou Jie said this, Qin Feng and the other two suddenly had a wow expression. Qin Feng's eyes were even brighter. He said, "Wow, it's unbelievable." These words came from Jaco's mouth. "It seems that Jaco's aesthetic is the same as mine. You also like beautiful legs." This time, even Lu Haoren followed and said, "Well done, Zhou Jie. It seems that this newcomer is really beautiful to be praised by you. Tell us the truth. Do you like her?" "Yeah, Zhou Jie, do you like her?" Miyazaki Naganabu, who had always been indifferent, also asked Zhou Jie with a rare smile. Zhou Jie couldn't help but feel a headache. "Can we not talk about this?" Zhou Jie thought and sighed. "No, you must explain today." "Yes, you must explain." "Say it. What are you afraid of? If you really like her, we can help you," Qin Feng and the other two said one by one. Zhou Jie couldn't help but feel even more speechless. After thinking about it, Zhou Jie said indifferently, "She's Yuan Qingkong's cousin. She's from the Yuan family. There must be a lot of suitors. Among the few of you, only Haoren has a chance." As soon as Zhou Jie said this, it immediately stunned the scene. Although Zhou Jie was obviously changing the topic, Qin Feng and the other two were still stunned for a moment. Yuan Qingkong's cousin, from the Yuan family? Qin Feng couldn't help but repeat. He couldn't even close his mouth. "What's her name?" Lu Haoren frowned and asked. "Her name is Yuan Rong." Before Zhou Jie could speak, Qin Feng answered. So it's her. Lu Haoren got the answer and immediately said so. Seeing this, Qin Feng and Miyazaki Naganabu wanted to ask Lu Haoren something, but before the two of them could speak, black-clothed number 2 flashed to the table and said to Zhou Jie, "Master, an outsider wants to see you." She said her name is Yuan Rong. In an instant, Zhou Jie's fork that was about to eat froze above the plate. Everyone was silent for a second. Zhou Jie put down his fork and raised his head to look at Qin Feng and the other two. He saw that the three of them were staring at him as expected, but he calmly ignored them. Instead, he opened his mouth and said to black-clothed man number 2, "Let her in." "Yes, master." Black-clothed number 2 answered and left. As soon as black-clothed number 2 left, Qin Feng leaned over to Zhou Jie's shoulder and shook his head slightly. "Jocko, tell me honestly, what did you do to her? She actually came looking for you." "Zhou Jie, I only met her after I came out of the 100-star trials and chatted with her for a while. Nothing else." Zhou Jie finally maintained his calm and answered. Hearing this, Qin Feng pursed his lips and shook his head helplessly. Lu Haoren and Miyazaki Naganabu looked at each other and shrugged slightly. "Zhou Jie, do you need us to leave for a while?" Lu Haoren suddenly asked. "Why should we leave?" Zhou Jie couldn't help but wonder. Lu Haoren, "Okay, it's fine." Miyazaki Naganabu and Qin Feng. Then, the four of them were silent for 2 or 3 seconds. Zhou Jie calmly said, "She's here." As soon as Zhou Jie finished speaking, Qin Feng and the other two also sensed the presence of a life form entering their detection zone. One Star-Lord's detection range could reach up to 1,000 meters, but the degree of detection would weaken as the distance increased. Outside 1,000 meters, a person wouldn't be able to detect fluctuations even if they were sprinting. At 800 to 900 meters, they would be able to sense the fluctuations of a person walking. At around 100 meters, Qin Feng and the others could even roughly sense the person's body shape if they were standing in this range. A few seconds later, Yuan Rong, who was wearing a tight white soft armor, walked through the door on the first floor of the villa. She was only 20 meters away from Zhou Jie and the others. Yuan Rong walked over with her long legs and looked at Zhou Jie and the others with a smile. "It's so lively. Looks like I came at the wrong time." Zhou Jie was about to speak, but Qin Feng spoke first. "Of course it's the right time. How can it not be the right time? Yuan Meiren, your presence really brings light to my humble abode." Yuan Rong heard Qin Feng's words and couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Then, she asked, "This is Zhou Jie's residence, right? Did I come to the wrong place?" Zhou Jie. Suppressing the urge to beat Qin Feng up, Zhou Jie finally had the chance to speak. "This is my residence. May I know why Miss Yuan is here?" "Oh, it's nothing. I've taken a fancy to a mission to explore Dustsea Planet and wanted to find a team to go with me. However, I only know you, Zhou Jie, so I came to discuss it with you." Yuan Rong was straightforward and said bluntly. However, as soon as Yuan Rong finished speaking, Zhou Jie was shocked. Lu Haoren and Miyazaki Naganabu also had strange expressions on their faces. Qin Feng was even more stunned. He turned around and patted Zhou Jie on the shoulder. "Jocko, it's fate." Hearing Qin Feng's words, Yuan Rong's beautiful eyes widened in confusion. Lu Haoren then said, "That, Zhou Jie, then you and Miss Yuan will go on this mission with 10,000 points. We just finished the mission and are preparing to rest for a few days. We won't be joining in." "Okay." Miyazaki Naganabu also nodded quickly. Yes, we won't be going." Qin Feng also quickly added. Seeing this, Zhou Jie was a little tongue-tied for a moment. Yuan Rong finally understood what was going on. She immediately asked, "So you're planning to do this mission too? Then let's go together." No, my waist hurts, so I won't be going." Qin Feng quickly waved his hand. "My kidneys hurt, so I won't be going either," Lu Haoren said calmly. I have a toothache. Miyazaki Naganabu thought about it and also expressed that he would not be going. Chapter 98. At this point, Zhou Jie finally could not take it anymore. His face darkened slightly as he said, "All right, stop messing around. We've already agreed to go together, so let's go together. Miss Yuan, do you want to join the four of us?" Zhou Jie asked the last question to Yuan Rong. Sure, no problem. It's better to have more people to look after each other. It's just that 5 people is a bit too big for us to explore, so there's a higher chance of encountering danger, Yuan Rong replied. Clearly, she didn't take the so-called danger seriously. When Qin Feng and the other 2 saw this, they all shook their heads secretly, thinking that Zhou Jie was really a straight man, even straighter than steel. All right then, let's do that, Lu Haoran said helplessly at this time. Qin Feng also sighed and said to Zhou Jie, "Jocko, you're really, what's wrong?" Zhou Jie could not help but feel puzzled, so he asked Qin Feng in return. Nothing. Qin Feng was also very helpless. Then Zhou Jie invited Yuan Rong to sit down and have a meal together, but Yuan Rong politely declined, and after leaving her contact information, she was ready to leave. Zhou Jie did not say anything else and said, "Take care," still sitting in his seat. Qin Feng and the other 2 watched Yuan Rong's beautiful back disappear at the door. When they turned around and saw that Zhou Jie was already eating, the 3 of them looked at each other and shook their heads with bitter smiles. The meal took nearly 2 hours, and Zhou Jie and the other 3 also discussed in detail the preparations for the Dust Sea Planet exploration mission in 2 days. "That's it then, we'll set off in 2 days," Zhou Jie said one last time before Qin Feng and the other 2 left. After sending off Qin Feng and the other 2, Zhou Jie asked Black Suit number 2 to clean up the table, and he went to the underground quiet room. After practicing the Tai Chi hand for a while, Zhou Jie found that without the rich energy of the 6 Paths Pagoda, the difficulty of performing the Tai Chi hand increased, and its power decreased a little. However, this was already within his expectations. In the next 2 days, Zhou Jie planned to properly consolidate and improve his Taiji hand, and use it to simulate battles. In Zhou Jie's opinion, all moves, no matter how powerful they were useless if they couldn't effectively attack the enemy. Unleashing the power of the move to its greatest extent was more important than increasing the power of the move itself. 2 days later, an hour before the arrival of the mission spacecraft, Zhou Jie contacted Qin Feng and the other 2, as well as Yuan Rong, and explained the matters discussed. The main reason was that Yuan Rong was not present at the time, so he had to explain it again. The main content was about the division of labor between Zhou Jie and the other 3. As for Yuan Rong, she was naturally the target of protection. However, Yuan Rong did not want to be protected, but in front of the vote of Zhou Jie and the other 3, she could not resist at all, so she had no choice but to accept it. On the spacecraft, the relevant personnel distributed the mission equipment, instruments, and energy supplements to Zhou Jie and the other 4. As for the equipment and instruments, there were detailed descriptions in the mission, and Zhou Jie and the others had already learned about them, so they familiarized themselves with them for a few minutes. After learning that the spacecraft to Dust Sea Planet would take 16 days, Zhou Jie and the others entered their own rooms on the spacecraft and began to do their own things. As usual, Zhou Jie mainly practiced the infinite hand, followed by the saber technique and the flying sword intent. During this time, Zhou Jie was pleasantly surprised that Zhou Jie suddenly had a deeper understanding and application of the lightning saber intent due to the comprehension and practice of the infinite hand. Previously, he had slightly changed the saber technique after using the lightning saber intent during the summit match, making it both hard and soft. However, compared to his comprehension this time, the progress of the saber technique during the summit match was almost negligible. Lightning, in addition to the domineering destruction, also has the intent of zigzagging. Previously, I felt that the lightning saber intent lacked variety, but I could only change it slightly when attacking. Now, perhaps because I've become stronger, and with the intent of the Tai Chi hand, the lightning saber intent has been further improved. The flying sword intent can also be fully attached to the sword array, together with my Star Lord level energy. Zhou Jie looked at the blade of Cadiz in his hand. A strong desire for battle made the energy in his body surge, and his body emitted a glittering glow. At this moment, Zhou Jie really wanted to find an evenly matched opponent to have a good fight, but he also knew that it was impossible for now. So, he could only gradually calm down, close his eyes, and meditate to cultivate universal energy. Cultivation time always passed quickly. During this period, Zhou Jie's team of 5 also had dinner together twice, chatting and deepening their understanding of each other. Naturally, it was mainly between Yuan Rong and Zhou Jie's team of 4. As for Zhou Jie's team of 4, they had such a gathering more than 5 times, so they were quite familiar with each other. 26 days passed in the blink of an eye, and the spaceship arrived above the Dust Sea planet on time. Looking down from an altitude of tens of thousands of meters, the surface of the Dust Sea planet was filled with flowing mud. As the spaceship continued to descend, Zhou Jie and the others finally saw through the computer in the cabin that the mud was actually the dust and flying stones in the sky. Zhou Jie and the others weren't surprised at all, they had already known that. The surface of the Dust Sea planet was full of hurricanes and tornadoes of level 17 or 18 on ordinary planet. Without the strength of a Star Lord, it would be difficult for them to protect themselves even if they had equipment. Very soon, the spaceship landed and stabilized. Zhou Jie and the others had already put on their armor. Each of them was equipped with a pistol-shaped detector with a palm-sized display. The detector could also be used as an energy gun to break some obstacles. A few minutes later, after the staff gave some final instructions, the door of the spaceship was opened, and Zhou Jie and the others were directly released from the bottom of the spaceship, which was 3 or 4 meters above the surface. With their strength, Zhou Jie and the others naturally landed steadily on the ground. However, when they landed, a gust of wind blew past the bottom of the cabin with sand. The force was so strong that Qin Feng, who was caught off guard, was almost blown away. Lu Haoren and the others almost lost their grip on the ground. Only Zhou Jie, who had one hand firmly inserted into the hard ground, didn't shake at all. Let's go. The exploration range of the 5 of us can be completed in half a month if we're fast. Remember to replenish your energy at all times. Zhou Jie said to everyone. During the first gathering, he was recommended to be the team leader for this mission, which was why Zhou Jie had spoken. After Zhou Jie and the others began to walk away, the spaceship carefully flew away along the route they came from. The formation on the surface of Dust Sea planet covered the entire vicinity of Dust Sea planet. If the spaceship flew randomly, it would encounter a terrible sandstorm. That would consume too much energy for the spaceship, and the instruments of the spaceship would malfunction, making it easy to get lost. Therefore, even a high-grade spaceship would only dare to fly and land in a safe area that had been explored. After Zhou Jie and the others got used to Zhou Jie's constant rumbling sandstorm, they moved toward the area that the mission required them to explore at a stable speed. The 5 of them stood in a semicircle, with Zhou Jie at the front, Yuan Rong and Lu Haoren beside him, and Miyazaki Naganabu on the other side of Yuan Rong. After traveling for more than an hour, Zhou Jie looked at the instrument and found that the mission completion rate was about 250%. This meant that if they could keep exploring at this speed, they would be able to complete the mission in about 10 days. After more than an hour, Zhou Jie and the others also became familiar with the general dangers of Dust Sea planet. Occasionally, there would be stronger undercurrents or larger rock. Although they were dangerous, Zhou Jie and the others could easily deal with them with their strength. However, Zhou Jie and the others did not feel relaxed. This was because the dangers of Dust Sea Planet were just so if they were lucky. If they were unlucky, they would encounter an extremely terrible storm. At that time, they would not even be able to stand and could only rely on their equipment to crawl on the ground with all their strength to survive. In addition, they would encounter quicksand, which was also very dangerous. Especially if they were exploring alone, there was the risk of losing their lives. Of course, there were even worse cases where they entered quicksand and happened to encounter an extremely terrible storm. Or if they explored the ruins and triggered the formation of the ruins, there was the risk of losing their lives. The direction that Zhou Jie and the others explored was specified by the mission, but they also had room for choice. When they encountered quicksand areas, they could naturally go around them, but they still had to use instruments to record part of the edge of the quicksand area. Due to the harsh environment, Zhou Jie and the others had to deal with unexpected situations at all times, so they did not have time to rest. They continued to explore like this for more than 3 days. On the 4th day, as the group of people walked, they felt the hard sand under their feet suddenly crack. Everyone lost their balance and fell to the ground, but they were horrified to find that they were falling forward at an extremely fast speed with the sand and sand below them. Oh no, quicksand area! Chapter 99. Zhou Jie was shocked. He quickly turned over and grabbed Yuan Rong's hand, who was also sinking. At the same time, he shouted, "Don't move. Hold on to each other." At the same time, Zhou Jie also wanted to grab Lu Haoran on the other side, but he found that they were already several meters away. There was no way he could take care of both of them. Moreover, Lu Haoran and Miyazaki Naganabu had already grabbed each other, leaving only Qin Feng to sink alone. Zhou Jie frowned. He was about to tell Yuan Rong to approach Qin Feng and grab him together, but at this moment, a strong gust of wind blew past. The sand and stones on the ground that Zhou Jie and the others had just stepped on were swept over his head. In an instant, all 5 of them were swept up by the wind. Fortunately, Zhou Jie reacted quickly and used all his energy to sink down. Yuan Rong also did the same. The 2 of them only flew for about a second before falling back into the quicksand. However, they sank even deeper, and their bodies were quickly submerged by the fine sand. Zhou Jie and Yuan Rong naturally wanted to use their energy to stop sinking, but at this time, they were horrified to find that there was a strong suction force from below, dragging them in. The quicksand quickly went over their heads. Lu Haoran, Miyazaki Naganabu, and Qin Feng were in a similar situation, but Qin Feng was blown further away. When he fell back into the quicksand, his whole body sank almost in the blink of an eye. Plop! Zhou Jie's back hit the ground. He sat up and pushed Yuan Rong aside. "Sorry for the offense," Zhou Jie said calmly, then stood up and looked at the surrounding environment. "It's fine," said Yuan Rong. She then squatted and looked up. There was a bright yellow barrier, and above the barrier was the slow-moving sand. Just now, she and Zhou Jie had suddenly fallen from above. The moment they were about to hit the ground, Zhou Jie reacted quickly enough to pull her into his arms and land on his back, preventing her from hitting the ground directly. That was why Zhou Jie had said, "Sorry for the offense." Yuan Rong was a Star Lord, and she wouldn't be hurt even if she fell from a height of 5 meters. However, since Zhou Jie was present, he naturally couldn't watch her fall. So, he subconsciously offered himself to her. "This is..." Yuan Rong couldn't help but exclaim in shock after seeing her surroundings. At this time, Zhou Jie was still observing the surroundings. The place where the 2 of them were at this moment was like a straight path in an underground maze. There were high granite walls on both sides. Above the top of the walls was the streamer barrier. The ground was also made of a wall-like material, and there was a faint light flowing on the surface. Dong! Suddenly, Zhou Jie raised his foot and stomped on the ground, making a dull noise that startled Yuan Rong. "What are you doing?" Yuan Qinkong couldn't help but ask. After stomping his foot, Zhou Jie frowned and said, "As expected, there should be a powerful formation here. We can't damage this place." Now, Yuan Rong finally understood what Zhou Jie had just done. It turned out that he wanted to test the endurance of the ground. With Zhou Jie's strength, even a half-meter thick alloy plate would be twisted and cracked. However, the ground under his feet wasn't damaged at all. Therefore, Zhou Jie was certain that they couldn't damage this place at all. Then, Zhou Jie raised his head and looked at the light barrier. Then, he suddenly jumped and touched the light barrier. Zhou Jie's hand went half an inch into the light barrier. Then, his fingers bent as if there was a huge resistance. Then, Zhou Jie fell back to the ground. "We can't get out from above?" Yuan Rong saw this and asked in surprise. "We can't get out. This should be part of the formation. It seems that we can only go in and not out. When my hand touched the barrier, it was blocked by a force and rebounded. I guess if we use more force, we won't be able to break the barrier with our strength and will only be rebounded even more." Zhou Jie replied with a serious expression. Yuan Rong heard this and frowned. She looked at the front and back of the passage and found that the end was dark. She couldn't help but say, "This seems to be an underground maze or palace. I didn't expect there to be such a place other than the residence of the original owner of Dustsea Planet. I don't know what it is." Zhou Jie also looked at the two ends of the passage and said, "Dustsea Planet is so big. The owner of Dustsea Planet shouldn't live alone. Maybe this is the residence of his subordinates, disciples, or something like that. Or maybe it's used for storage or imprisonment. Let's explore this place first and see if we can find an exit." "Okay." Yuan Rong didn't have any other thoughts. She immediately nodded and followed Zhou Jie to choose a passage to the south and walked quickly. At the same time, at the other end of this passage, Lu Haoran and Miyazaki Naganabu also chose a direction after a discussion, but it happened to be the opposite of Zhou Jie's. As for Qin Feng, he had fallen into another independent passageway. Zhou Jie and Yuan Rong walked for more than 300 meters in the chosen direction before they encountered a turn, so they continued to walk along the corner. After walking for less than 10 meters, they saw that there were 3 smaller passages in front of them. The middle one went straight, the left one turned left, and the right one went diagonally at a 45-degree angle. Yuan Rong saw this and couldn't help but be stunned. She looked at Zhou Jie and waited for him to make a decision. "Looks like it's a maze. This is troublesome. Maybe there are treasures in the depths of the maze. The exit should be there, but because of this, it may be very dangerous to go deeper." Zhou Jie stood in front of the 3 passages and said, also having a hard time choosing, "But the exit should be there. If we want to go out, don't we still have to go deeper?" Yuan Rong heard Zhou Jie's words and couldn't help but twitch her mouth slightly. Zhou Jie was silent and stood there motionless for a few seconds. "Zhou Jie, Yuan Rong was shocked when she saw Zhou Jie suddenly stop moving and didn't answer. She immediately walked up to Zhou Jie. However, Zhou Jie suddenly walked towards the passage on the right and said, "Let's go this way first and mark it." Zhou Jie took out a bottle of Zerg venom from his space ring, then squatted at a corner of the passage and poured a drop there. The viscous Zerg venom landed on the ground and immediately began to automatically clean under the effect of the formation on the surface. It slowly spread and then gradually seeped into the rock. Zhou Jie couldn't help but frown. However, he saw that although the venom was being cleaned, the speed was still very slow. In particular, there were still some solid particles left in the Zerg venom. Zhou Jie estimated that it would remain for at least a while. Since there was no other way, Zhou Jie added 2 more drops and then got up and said to Yuan Rong, "Let's go." Zhou Jie took the lead and strode forward. Yuan Rong hurriedly trotted to keep up. She looked back at Zhou Jie and couldn't help but ask Zhou Jie, "What did you drip?" "Zerg venom." Zhou Jie looked ahead and replied while spreading his mind power. "Why do you have that kind of thing?" Yuan Rong couldn't help but ask again when she heard that it was Zerg venom, although she didn't know what Zerg was. You don't need to know. Zhou Jie was too lazy to explain, but he reminded her, this place also has a lot of interference for mind power detection. Be careful in case of sudden danger. Oh, I'm a star master like you. You don't have to be so worried about me, Yuan Rong suddenly replied unhappily. Zhou Jie didn't say anything else, and the two continued to walk forward quickly. Just like that, Zhou Jie and Yuan Rong walked for more than an hour. They passed through 15 forks in the tunnel, encountered dead ends 5 times, and had to turn back. Then, they returned to a certain junction a few times. They had simply gone around in circles. However, the two of them had nothing to say about it. After all, this was a maze, and it seemed to be much larger than they had imagined. It was already a problem whether they could walk out of the maze and enter the core of the maze within a day. It had only been a little more than an hour. What could they possibly find after going around in circles a few times? Moreover, this was already under the condition that they had Zerg venom as a marker. Otherwise, they might have to go around even more junctions. I wonder how Qin Feng and the others are doing. They probably don't have anything that can be used as a marker. That's troublesome. Zhou Jie thought to himself at some point. At the same time, they walked to a 3-way junction, another detour. Zhou Jie couldn't help but shake his head when he saw the remnants of Zerg venom on the left side of the tunnel. Chapter 100. Seeing this, Yuan Rong pursed her lips and sighed dejectedly. How long are we going to walk? Zhou Jie shook his head. There's no other way. Let's continue. Then, Zhou Jie chose another passage. Yuan Rong had no choice but to continue following behind. After another day, Zhou Jie and Yuan Rong finally walked out of the maze. Wow, Zhou Jie, look! There seems to be no more passage ahead. Yuan Rong said with her eyes wide open when she saw that there was light outside the passage. Zhou Jie also saw the light and said, yes, we should be out of the maze. Be careful when you're out. Although Zhou Jie and Yuan Rong had walked around the maze for a long time, they didn't encounter any danger. Zhou Jie wasn't happy about this, because if there was any secret treasure here, it would definitely be in the core area. The danger would also be there. Yes. Yuan Rong answered again. She admired Zhou Jie's vigilance. Genius disciples from aristocratic families like them didn't have Zhou Jie's ability. Soon, Zhou Jie and Yuan Rong walked out of the maze and entered a spacious underground space. In front of them was a straight, light black road about 20 meters wide and 50 meters long. It connected to the stairs of a dark yellow palace. The stairs had a total of 5 levels and were more than a meter high. It was also the foundation of the entire palace. The main part of the palace was more than 10 meters high. There was a huge arc of light at the top that isolated the quicksand above. On both sides of the road were black rock walls. Zhou Jie didn't even need to think to know that there was no exit. Yuan Rong landed half a step behind Zhou Jie and looked at the palace in front of them. There's actually a palace here. It looks like it's really a place for people to live. Zhou Jie frowned and looked at the palace in front of him. After thinking for a while, he said, if that's the case, we don't know where the exit is. We can only enter the palace and take a look. Zhou Jie had no other thoughts, and Yuan Rong naturally didn't either. The two of them walked into the palace. The palace didn't have a door that could be opened or closed. Instead, it was an arched door. After Zhou Jie entered, he discovered that the floor of the room was empty. There were only a few thick dark golden chains that pierced through the walls of the palace and stretched across the middle of the room. Why are there chains above this room? What are they for? Yuan Rong asked curiously when she saw the chains. However, Zhou Jie was also frowning at this moment. He did not know what these chains were used for. After all, he had never heard of such a situation. Let's go in and take a look. Zhou Jie looked at the doorway in front of him and saw that it was still a room, but the light was coming from deeper inside. So the two of them continued to go deeper into the palace. The second room, the third room, the fourth room, there were a total of 9 rooms, and they were all the same. The only difference was that the number of golden chains in each room varied from 2 to 6. There are no more rooms in front. This is the source of the light. As soon as they entered the 9th room, Zhou Jie looked behind the doorway and said with a serious expression. At the same time, behind the doorway of the room Zhou Jie and Yuan Rong were in, there was a huge circular pool with a diameter of 100 meters. In the center of the pool was a dark golden platform about 2 meters above the water surface. A bald man in linen clothes sat cross-legged on the platform. In the past 1,000 years, he had been sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, quietly cultivating. Dozens of dark golden chains as thick as an arm pierced out from the rooms on all sides and tightly sealed the platform he was on, leaving only a few palm-sized holes. And right above his head, there was a 3-foot green sword that was constantly emitting green light. Faint fluctuations were constantly being released from the sword and transmitted into the bald man's body. Suddenly, the bald man opened his eyes. He sensed 2 uninvited guests. His originally clear eyes flashed with a purplish-black light, causing him to frown. At this moment, Zhou Jie and Yuan Rong passed through the last doorway and came to the shore of the pool. Huh! Zhou Jie immediately saw the platform in the center of the pool that was wrapped by chains and the bald man sitting cross-legged on the platform. And through the gaps between the chains, Zhou Jie and the bald man looked at each other. This inevitably surprised him. Someone's here. Yuan Rong saw the man in the center of the pool and exclaimed in a low voice. Then she realized that something was wrong and hurriedly covered her mouth. Little did she know that the bald man had already looked at Zhou Jie. But from Yuan Rong's position, she just happened to be unable to see the man's face, so she thought that the other party didn't see her. After a brief moment of surprise, Zhou Jie calmed down, but he couldn't help but breathe a little faster. He subconsciously felt that something was wrong because there was actually such a man in the center of the pool, and this man was actually wrapped and sealed by so many chains. Could it be that this was a prison specifically used to imprison this man, and this man was an extremely terrifying devil? For a moment, Zhou Jie wanted to pull Yuan Rong and turn around and run, but on second thought, he gave up on this idea because he felt that with the other party's strength, if he wanted to attack them and could, they would have been killed or captured long ago. But in fact, he and the man were looking at each other, and the other party didn't have any intention of attacking, which meant that there was room for negotiation. Perhaps he could find out where the exit was from the man. So Zhou Jie quickly adjusted his breathing and looked at the man as calmly as possible. Then he said, "Senior, we have mistakenly entered this place and didn't mean to offend you. May I ask where this is? How do we get out?" Yuan Rong was also shocked when she saw Zhou Jie suddenly acting like this. Then she looked over and saw that half of the bald man's face happened to be looking at her. She was so scared that she shrank her neck and retreated to a place where the man couldn't see. However, the bald man didn't pay any attention to Yuan Rong. Instead, he looked at Zhou Jie. A faint purple light flashed in his eyes, causing Zhou Jie to unconsciously frown. He then opened his mouth and asked, "You guys are Master's new disciples?" Zhou Jie was surprised and didn't know how to answer for a moment. Seeing this, the bald man seemed to understand something. He frowned deeply and then asked, "How did you come to this planet?" This time, Zhou Jie was slightly stunned. He gave a simple explanation, telling the bald man that they had accepted a mission from the Bounty Hunter Alliance to explore this place. Zhou Jie naturally had his reasons for saying so. After listening to Zhou Jie's answer, the bald man couldn't help but sigh. His expression was a little sluggish, and then he said in disappointment, "I didn't expect that in just over 1,000 years, Master actually. Alas." The bald man heaved a heavy sigh and fell silent for a short time. Zhou Jie and Yuan Rong, on the other hand, changed their expressions after hearing that. They were both shocked. More than 1,000 years? So, this bald man is a Lord-level expert? Zhou Jie was secretly shocked. Ever since he joined the Star Sword Alliance, he had a clearer understanding of Star Lords and Lord-level experts. In particular, as a Star Lord himself, he knew that the lifespan of a Star Lord expert was around 1,000 years. A 1-star Star Lord could live for around 500 years, while a 9-star Star Lord could live for around 2,000 years. However, the bald man added the word only when he said more than 1,000 years, which had a different meaning. Only those who didn't care about 1,000 years would dare to say that. In other words, 1,000 years was nothing for the bald man. Therefore, the bald man could only be an expert with a longer lifespan than a Lord-level expert. After recovering from his shock, Zhou Jie finally summoned his courage and asked the bald man after seeing that he didn't say anything, "May I ask who you are, senior?" The bald man was obviously still in a state of shock. He glanced at Zhou Jie and a purple light flashed in his eyes. He couldn't help but close his eyes, and he didn't open them again until a few seconds later. Then, the bald man answered Zhou Jie's question, "I'm the Golden Light Overlord." Back then, for the sake of revenge, I was too eager to break through to the Overlord level and fell into the enemy's trap. My inner demons were deeply planted in my heart, and later, my cultivation went berserk. As a result, I was suppressed here by my master to cultivate my heart. Even now, although I can suppress my inner demons, I still can't completely eliminate them. My master has set up a formation here, so I can still maintain my consciousness and gradually remove my inner demons. Therefore, I can't leave this place. Chapter 101. Zhou Jie and Li Tianlan held their breaths after hearing that. "There's no exit?" Zhou Jie couldn't help but ask. The Golden Lord didn't look at him again. He simply said, "This place is specially designed to suppress me. There's no exit. You can go out the same way you came in. Break the barrier above your heads and resist the suction of the quicksand formation outside. You'll naturally be able to return to the surface." Hearing the Golden Lord's words, Zhou Jie and Li Tianlan were stunned. It was as if he hadn't said anything. If they had the ability to break the barrier above their heads, they would have tried to return to the surface already. Moreover, if they could resist the suction of the quicksand formation outside, they wouldn't have fallen in here. Then, senior, do you know what kind of strength is needed to break the barrier? Zhou Jie knew, but since it was the only way out, he naturally had to ask for more details. The Golden Lord glanced at Zhou Jie and said, "Use your full strength to attack the barrier for me to see." "Okay," Zhou Jie responded. Then, he took out the Kadi's blade and poured the energy in his body into it. The Kadi's blade emitted a blue light. Lightning blade intent. Zhou Jie soared into the sky and slashed the streamer barrier nearly 20 meters above his head with a blade. Puff. With a soft sound, the Kadi's blade almost pierced through the light barrier. However, the barrier was very tough. Although it was deformed, it didn't break. Zhou Jie, on the other hand, had used up all his strength. He suffered a strong rebound and fell heavily to the ground. Seeing this, the Golden Lord looked at Zhou Jie with glittering eyes, seemingly surprised. He then said, "You're a genius. Your attack power is comparable to that of a 2-star Lord. However, if you want to take people out of here, you'll have to tear a huge crack. You'll probably need the strength of a peak Samsung Star Lord. You can try again when you become a 2-star Lord, but right now you're still far from that." After hearing the Golden Lord's answer, before Zhou Jie could say anything, Yuan Rong turned pale and couldn't help but ask, "We need the strength of a peak Samsung Star Lord to go out? Then, how long do we have to cultivate here?" Zhou Jie's expression turned solemn when he heard that. He closed his eyes and pondered for a moment. He had to admit that even a genius like him would need 3 to 5 years to become a 2-star lord if he cultivated normally. This was especially true for Zhou Jie, who had to condense a star core on its own, which made it even more difficult for him to break through compared to ordinary people. As for having the strength of a peak 3-star lord, at the very least, in terms of attack power, even if Zhou Jie became a 2-star lord, he wouldn't be able to achieve it immediately. It will indeed take a long time, and it'll be even slower without cultivation resources. I'm afraid it'll take me more than 5 years to become a 2-star lord. If I want to unleash the strength of a peak Samsung Star Lord, it'll take even longer, Zhou Jie finally said, feeling powerless. Yuan Rong pursed her lips and said, "If you let me do it, it'll be even slower. I didn't expect you to be so strong, Zhou Jie. You can already unleash the strength of a 2-star lord. I still need to use pills to be able to unleash the strength of a 2-star lord." Then, Yuan Rong took out a small bottle from her spatial ring. "Zhou Jie, this is the strength-boosting pill produced by the Medicine Deity Company. It's a life-saving item given to me by my family. There are 3 pills in total, and I haven't eaten any of them. Since you're so much stronger than me, try this pill when you become a 2-star lord and see if it can break through the barrier," Yuan Rong said as she approached Zhou Jie and was about to give the bottle to him. However, Zhou Jie waved his hand and refused. "Not for now. I don't know how long it'll take for me to become a 2-star lord. I'll leave it with you for now. When Qin Feng and the others arrive, we'll discuss what to do." Yuan Rong was about to agree, but the Golden Lord suddenly said, "I'm talking about the strength of a peak Samsung Star Lord. Even if you're 100% sure that you can leave this place and return to the surface, as long as one of you can break through the barrier, you can try to leave with the other person. It doesn't matter if you fail. Also, don't tell anyone that I'm here. I don't want anyone to disturb me." Hearing the Golden Lord's words, Zhou Jie looked at the Golden Lord and nodded. "Don't worry, Senior. We won't tell anyone. However, someone knows that we've come to the surface. I'm afraid that someone will come looking for us if we don't return for a long time. You don't have to worry about that. Now that I've woken up, I can change the form of the formation. The quicksand formation on the outer layer can also perform vortex strangulation in addition to the laminar flow. If I don't want anyone to come in, nobody below the Lord level will be able to come in," said the Golden Lord casually, but his voice was dignified. "That's good. Our 3 companions should be here too. Can we wait for them here?" asked Zhou Jie again. "Whatever. I need to continue suppressing my inner demons. Don't call me if there's nothing important," said the Golden Lord in response. "Okay," replied Zhou Jie. Then, he turned his head and motioned for Yuan Rong to go to the outer room with him to wait for Qin Feng and the other 2. Zhou Jie entered the innermost room and sat down in the corner. Then, he said to Yuan Rong, "Wait for the others here." With that, Zhou Jie closed his eyes and began to meditate. Seeing this, Yuan Rong pursed her lips helplessly. Then, she chose the corner opposite of Zhou Jie. She waved her hand and wiped away the dust on the ground before sitting down with her legs crossed. Over 2 hours later, Qin Feng was the first to arrive at the palace. However, he had entered from the other side of the door, so Zhou Jie and the other 2 only noticed him when he was close to the pool area. They went to call him over. In less than half an hour, Lu Haoran and Miyazaki Naganabu arrived as well. They entered the same door as Zhou Jie, so they naturally encountered Zhou Jie and the other 2. Now, the team of 5 was gathered. With everyone present, Zhou Jie immediately told Qin Feng and the other 2 about what he and Yuan Rong had just learned. "Which one of you can unleash an attack at the level of a 2-star lord or above?" In the end, Zhou Jie asked Qin Feng and the other 2. His gaze was mainly focused on Lu Haoran. He had an extraordinary background. Perhaps he had a life-saving item that could unleash enough power to take them away from here. However, Lu Haoran and the other two shook their heads. Lu Haoran even said bluntly, I may have a life-saving item, but it's a shield. It can block powerful attacks, but it can't amplify them. Zhou Jie sighed inwardly when he heard that, but he did not show it on his face. He asked, Then, maybe we'll have to wait until I break through to become a 2-star lord? Damn it. How many years do we have to be trapped here? How unlucky! Qin Feng said directly. Clearly, he was certain that Zhou Jie was the only one who could break through. Lu Haoran and Miyazaki Naganabu had no other choice. They both nodded to confirm it. Zhou Jie's expression was calm when he saw that. He said, Then, everyone can cultivate here. I'll go cultivate alone in the maze. You don't have to look for me. Yuan Rong and the others were puzzled when they heard that, but they could not ask anything. They could only watch as Zhou Jie walked straight to the outer hall and disappeared behind several doors. Qin Feng shrugged and said, Well, Jocko might be afraid that we'll disturb his cultivation. He's afraid of you, not us. Lu Haoran rolled his eyes at Qin Feng when he heard that. The meaning behind his words was clear. Qin Feng was the one who talked the most. Qin Feng. All right. Zhou Jie entered the maze alone. His brows were full of solemnity. However, Zhou Jie did not go too deep. He only took 2 detours. After making sure that Qin Feng and the others did not follow him, he summoned Kakashi from his space ring and briefly explained his current situation to him. Kakashi did not have any good ideas about this. He only said to Zhou Jie, Jocko, it's indeed unrealistic to burst out the strength of a peak star lord of Samsung in a short time. However, you're much stronger than before. Maybe you can try to draw more power from the Thunder Soul Pearl. It's equivalent to an Emperor artifact. If you can draw a trace of its origin power, you'll definitely surpass the strength of a peak star lord of Samsung. Zhou Jie was pleasantly surprised when he heard that. He immediately said, Okay, I plan to enter the 6 realms and try to draw the power of the Thunder Soul Pearl. At the same time, I'll ask the Tower Masters if they have any way to improve my strength in a short time. 10 minutes later, Zhou Jie came out of the 6 Paths Pagoda and stood in the 6 realms. Thinking of what Zhou Tianwu had just said to him, his eyes became sharp. Let's refine the body with the Thunder Soul Pearl. Chapter 102. Zhou Jie had decided to improve his strength as quickly as possible so that he could take Yuan Rong and the others away as soon as possible. He might not be in such a hurry if he was the only one trapped there, but as the captain of the exploration team, he couldn't let go of the fact that his teammates were in such a predicament. He could only be at ease if he got everyone out as soon as possible. After discussing with Zhou Tianwu, Zhou Jie learned that it was much more difficult for him to become a 2-star lord than it was for him to become a 1-star lord. Zhou Jie wasn't even confident that he could achieve it in 5 years, but he might be able to exert the strength of a peak Samsung Star Lord while he was still a peak 1-star lord. However, a 1-star lord can also exert the strength of a Samsung Star Lord. There are thousands of geniuses in the cosmic ocean who can do that, and all the outstanding ones in the Holy Land have reached that level. Since you've become a Star Lord with a perfect stellar core, it'll be easier for you to fight above your level. Your body, soul, and energy now have a lot of room for improvement even for a 1-star Lord. For example, those who cultivate the divine body can lift hundreds of thousands of kilograms in the mortal body state, and millions of kilograms in the Star Lord state. And that's just your physical strength, not external energy. This was what Zhou Tianwu had said at that time. Zhou Jie was extremely shocked by this, because he could lift 1,000,000 kilograms with his strength. He could do it now, but that was under the condition that he used the energy inside and outside his body, including the spiritual power, soul force. If he only used the strength of his body, Zhou Jie felt that he was far from being able to do it. Even if he had experienced the tempering of the Thunder Soul Pearl once, at that time, he had only activated a trace of the power of thunder, which had made his body much stronger than others of the same level. In the end, Zhou Tianwu also agreed with Zhou Jie's suggestion of using the Lightning Soul Pearl to refine his body. One of the most important points was that in the realm of 6 paths, as long as Zhou Jie didn't act recklessly, the life energy in the realm of 6 paths could guarantee that Zhou Jie wouldn't die from injuries. Therefore, Zhou Jie only needed to endure the pain to strengthen himself, and this was the fastest way to improve his strength in a short period of time. Furthermore, when one's physical strength is strengthened, it can in turn nourish one's soul force. The stronger one's soul force is, the faster one's cultivation will be. Zhou Jie learned a lot from his conversation with Zhou Tianwu and gained a deeper understanding of cultivation. Therefore, he secretly made up his mind to improve his strength to the level of an ordinary Samsung Star Lord in about 3 years. As for whether or not he could break the barrier and take them away by then, that was another matter. Zhou Jie tempered his body with the power of the Lightning Soul Pearl in the realm of 6 paths, while Yuan Rong and the others came to the outermost room of the palace to cultivate. After a few days of boring cultivation, Qin Feng couldn't bear it anymore and proposed to spar with each other. This proposal was immediately approved by everyone, so Qin Feng and the other 3 began to spar, cultivate, spar, cultivate. Day after day of cultivation, the strength of the 4 continued to improve during this period. In the 3rd month, Zhou Jie came out of seclusion for the first time and met Qin Feng and the other 3. He told Qin Feng and the others that his strength had improved greatly and that he would definitely be able to take them away within 5 years. Qin Feng and the others were very optimistic about this. Lu Haoran proposed to test the gap between himself and Zhou Jie on the spot, so the two had a spar. In this spar, the two didn't use weapons and fought with physical strength. Lu Haoran used all kinds of moves, but they were easily resolved by Zhou Jie. In less than a minute, Lu Haoran admitted defeat and said on the spot, "Zhou Jie, I didn't expect the gap between you and me to be so big. I can feel that you didn't use your full strength and blocked my attacks very easily, but you give me the feeling that you are as unshakable as a mountain." Zhou Jie just smiled at this evaluation and didn't say anything, but Qin Feng and the others were pleasantly surprised. The stronger Zhou Jie was, the closer they were to leaving. During the 3 months that Zhou Jie and the others were trapped in the underground palace, they were calm because they were used to it, but a lot of big movements happened in the outside world because of their disappearance. 2 months ago, missing? Hao Jue couldn't help but frown when he received the news that Zhou Jie and the others' mission was overdue. Missing? Send someone to investigate again and report back to me in half a month. Hao Jue quickly gave the order. Zhou Jie and the others disappeared at once. This was not a small matter, so he had to confirm it again. If he still couldn't find the whereabouts of Zhou Jie and the others, he would face a lot of problems. More than a month ago, a tall and handsome man in white armor came to the door of Yuan Rong's villa. After pressing the doorbell, Yuan Young Villa's AI butler quickly appeared. "Yuan Rong lives here, right? Go and inform Xiao Rong that Wei Qinfeng is here to visit." The tall and handsome man, Wei Qinfeng, said to the butler. However, the butler replied, "I'm sorry, Master went out 2 months ago and hasn't returned yet." Gone out for 2 months. Wei Qinfeng was surprised when he heard this. Did she go out to do a mission? Wei Qinfeng stood at the door for a long time and finally sighed helplessly. "Then let's wait here." Xiao Rong. Wei Qinfeng muttered the last 2 words, and his sharp eyes were filled with gentleness. In the 4th month that Zhou Jie and the others were trapped, the news of their disappearance and confirmed death reached the Yuan family, the Temple of the Stars, and the other forces behind them. Although the major forces agreed, the Temple of the Stars didn't want Lu Haoran to join the Star Sword Alliance. Lu Haoran acted first, and his father had no choice but to acquiesce. Their own prodigies joined the Star Sword Alliance, and the Star Sword Alliance had long since announced that the Star Sword Alliance wouldn't be responsible for the deaths of their prodigies while on a mission. However, the major forces behind these prodigies didn't buy it. The Yuan family wasn't so bad. They didn't have a Lord-class combatant behind them, so they didn't dare to do anything to the Star Sword Alliance. However, the Temple of the Stars was a colossus, and Lu Haoran was the young master of the Temple of the Stars. When the higher-ups of the Temple of the Stars learned of his possible death, they were naturally furious. They directly questioned the patrol inspector of the Star Sword Alliance's headquarters, Yoshino Emperor, who was also the person in charge of the elite training base. Yoshino Emperor couldn't absolve himself of the blame, so he agreed to send people to search for Lu Haoran and the others. If they were alive, he wanted to see them. If they were dead, he wanted to see their corpses. He had to give the Temple of the Stars an explanation. The news of Yuan Rong and the others' deaths were also made public in the elite training base. When Yuqi Qingfeng learned of this, he almost went crazy. After returning to his villa, he stayed in his room like a corpse, and didn't make a sound for half a month. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed since Zhou Jie and the others had been trapped. Zhou Jie underwent the 12th refinement with the Thunder Soul Pearl in the 6 realms. As the number of refinements increased, Zhou Jie gradually became more and more tolerant of the lightning energy. Using a little bit of lightning energy to refine his body was no longer enough to satisfy his need. However, due to the limitations of his strength, Zhou Jie couldn't use more lightning energy to refine his body. This caused the strengthening of his body to become slower and slower. However, during this process, the amount of energy his body could absorb increased greatly, which made his foundation even more solid. Coupled with the fact that he had a perfect stellar core, Zhou Jie's energy was now comparable to that of an ordinary 2-star lord. However, he was still quite far from reaching the peak of 1-star lord, let alone condensing a second stellar core. After spending more than a month to complete the 12th refinement, Zhou Jie planned his next step. It's indeed difficult for me to make a breakthrough in my cultivation, but I've pretty much finished refining my body. Next, I should focus on improving my soul force and attacking method. It had been 3 years and 13 days since Zhou Jie and the others had been trapped. Zhou Jie was still cultivating in the 6 realms, but this time, he was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. His brows were furrowed, and his breathing was somewhat unstable. After a long time, Zhou Jie opened his eyes and sighed. It's still not enough. I can't make a breakthrough. Condensing a perfect stellar core this time is obviously much more difficult than the last time. Senior Tianwu is right. Then, Zhou Jie stood up and closed his eyes. A few minutes later, Zhou Jie suddenly opened his eyes in surprise. The golden sword formed by the golden lotus swords on his back suddenly shot out. As it flew forward, it stirred up the energy in all directions. Flying sword intent, skyline tide. Zhou Jie couldn't help but be overjoyed. His lips trembled as he said, "It's done." Bang! The golden sword flew back, and Zhou Jie disappeared from the 6 realms with a single thought. Chapter 103. Zhou Jie appeared in a corner of the maze, where Kakashi was sleeping. Sensing Zhou Jie's appearance, he immediately opened his eyes, got up, and patted his butt. A pair of bright eyes looked at Zhou Jie. "Jocko, you went to relax again?" Zhou Jie did not answer. Instead, he looked at the barrier of energy flowing above his head. With a thought, the golden lotus sword flower flew out. After flying forward for a distance, its momentum paused, and then it suddenly pierced upwards, causing the surrounding energy to circle and gather towards the flying sword like a tornado. The flying sword was extremely powerful, but it did not cause much of a stir when it attacked the barrier. The barrier directly broke open, creating a huge gap. The flying sword withdrew, and it took a full 2 seconds for the gap to completely close. Seeing this, Kakashi could not help but be stunned. After being stunned for a second, a look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face, and he excitedly said, "Wow, Jocko, you're almost at the ultimate realm of the flying sword, right?" When Zhou Jie heard this, a faint smile appeared on his face, and he replied, "I've only comprehended the ultimate realm of this move. It will take some time to completely integrate the ultimate realm of the flying sword into other moves, especially the lightning saber intent. It's very different from the flying sword intent, and the saber art is still far from reaching the ultimate realm. I was only lucky to comprehend the ultimate realm of the flying sword this time." "That's still very impressive, Jocko. When you finished tempering your body last time, you were able to cut through the barrier. It's just that it was a little small and not enough to bring people out. I thought you would use your saber art to break through the barrier this time, but I didn't expect you to do it with just your mental strength." Kakashi was still excited, as if he was the one breaking through and not Zhou Jie. Zhou Jie did not respond to this, but after tempering his body 12 times with the Thunder Soul Pearl, he had indeed improved. He estimated that if he used his full strength with his saber art, he would have about 80% of the ultimate realm of the flying sword. It was just that using the extreme flying sword once consumed too much of his soul force. Zhou Jie felt that he could at most use it 4 or 5 times before he couldn't do it anymore. But if he used his saber arts, he could maintain a super strong attack for more than a minute. After all, he had tempered his body 12 times with the Thunder Soul Pearl for 3 years. The increase in his physical strength was not just for show. "Alright, Kakashi, return to the ring. We should go back," Zhou Jie said. Kakashi immediately nodded, "But Jocko, don't forget. I will buy it for you." Zhou immediately and helplessly. In the past 3 years, the food that Kakashi had hidden in the G-grade spaceship had long been eaten. So every time Kakashi came out, Kakashi would complain about the lack of food. Zhou Jie and the other 4 gathered beside the pool in the center of the palace. On the platform in the center of the pool, the Golden Lord seemed to be meditating with his eyes closed, but in fact, he was trying his best to refine his inner demon. Zhou Jie stepped forward. Seeing that the Golden Lord ignored him, he hesitated for a moment, then cupped his fist and said, "Senior, we will take our leave." The Golden Lord still did not move. Zhou Jie waited for a few seconds, then finally turned around. He signaled Qin Feng and the other 3 with his eyes, and the group walked out of the palace, ready to leave. After Zhou Jie and the others left, the Golden Light Overlord suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was calm and deep, but there was no longer a purple light flashing in them. "I didn't expect that after spending 1,000 years, I was just repeating the same mistakes, so I couldn't get rid of my inner demons. However, after seeing the growth of these juniors over the years, I was suddenly enlightened. The inner demons are almost gone. They are gone. I Zhu Dingtian should also be born." Zhou Jie and the others used Yuan Rong's weapon, a long whip, to tie each other. Then, Zhou Jie broke the barrier, and the group rushed into the quicksand formation. Under the lead of Zhou Jie, they resisted the downward force with difficulty and headed toward the surface. After returning to the surface, because there was no strong wind attack, under the lead of Zhou Jie, the 5 of them flew for a short distance and finally left the quicksand area. After finding a place where the wind was relatively weak, Zhou Jie and the others temporarily settled down. Zhou Jie tried to use his ID card to contact the headquarters, but it did not work at all. Zhou Jie was not surprised at all, but he knew that they would face another serious problem, and that was to find the Star Sword Alliance's base on the surface of the vast Dust Sea planet. This was the only way they could return to the Dragon Phoenix planet. Of course, it was under the condition that Zhou Jie did not expose the G-grade spaceship. Fortunately, they had the relevant location map. Otherwise, if they had to rely on their own strength to return to the Dragon Phoenix planet, they did not know how long it would take. Everyone, rest here for a while. After that, we will go to the nearest base. If there are no accidents, we will arrive at the nearest base in 10 days or half a month, Zhou Jie said. 11 days later. Hao Jue was practicing his moves when suddenly, his ID card emitted a specific wave. Hao Jue was shocked. This was the wave of an emergency report, so he immediately stopped practicing. With the ID card in hand, he opened the message. Lu Haoran and Yuan Rong are not dead? Hao Jue was shocked. He immediately ordered Lu Haoran and the others to be brought back. On the way back to the Dragon Phoenix planet, Zhou Jie and the others boarded the spaceship. Hao Jue met the 5 of them through a video call and comforted them. In fact, the reason Hao Jue did this was to confirm the situation of Zhou Jie and the others so that he could immediately give the Yoshino Emperor an explanation. The Yoshino Emperor, on the other hand, needed to give the Temple of the Stars an explanation as soon as possible and also give the Yuan family an explanation. On the other hand, before Zhou Jie and the others returned to the Dragon Phoenix planet, the news of their impending return had spread throughout the elite training base. When Yuqi Qinfeng heard this news, he excitedly returned to the base from the 100 Stars Pass where he had stayed for almost 3 years. Since 3 years ago, he had made an appointment to enter the 100 Stars Pass every day, and he had never missed a single appointment. After 3 years, he was like a crazy person. His entire temperament had changed greatly, and he had become somewhat ferocious. As soon as Yuqi Qinfeng returned to the base, he went to his villa to wash up. Then, he went to the door of Yuan Rong's villa and waited happily. 13 days later, the spaceship that Zhou Jie and the others were on landed at the entrance of the Dragon Phoenix planet base. Everyone talked and laughed as they got off the spaceship. They were all very excited. After all, they had been trapped in this place for more than 3 years. Being able to return to a familiar and comfortable base naturally made them very happy. Walking on the main road of the base, Zhou Jie and the others chatted for a while. When they got close to their respective residences, they naturally went their separate ways. After going through so much, they all needed to adjust their states of mind in private. However, on the way to her villa, Yuan Rong suddenly received a call from Hao Jue. This surprised her, but she could not refuse, so she went to meet him at the appointed place. The place where Hao Jue lived was a D-class spaceship. Spaceships were the most valuable spaceships of the same class. A D-class spaceship, if equipped with extremely advanced weapons, was worth as much as an F-class spaceship. Zhou Jie's G-class spaceship was only worth 4 or 5 of such spaceship. Under the guidance of the spaceship's butler robot, Yuan Rong came to the front cabin of the spaceship and saw Hao Jue sitting in front of an electronic desk. "Senior Hao, you were looking for me?" After Yuan Rong went in, she asked in a somewhat timid voice. Hao Jue immediately smiled and tried to make himself seem as approachable as possible. He said to Yuan Rong, "Haha, sit down and talk. I just want to ask you something." Yuan Rong was shocked when she heard this, but she was already mentally prepared for this, so she said bluntly, "No, senior. But if you want to ask what happened to us on Dust Sea Planet that caused us to lose contact for more than 3 years, then I'm sorry, I can't tell you." "Oh? Why?" Hao Jue could not help but be surprised. He did want to ask this question, but he did not expect Yuan Rong to refuse to tell him the answer. Yuan Rong thought for a moment, then answered, "Because I think it was like a dream. When we woke up, we left that place. I don't know how everything happened, so I can't tell you." "Where do you mean by that place?" Hao Jue frowned and could not help but ask. "I said, it was like a dream. I don't know how to say it. You don't have to look for others. They don't know either," Yuan Rong said straightforwardly. Hao Jue could not help but be speechless. "If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave, senior?" Yuan Rong saw this and nodded slightly. Hao Jue heard this and looked up at Yuan Rong deeply. In the end, he sighed helplessly. "Okay, I understand. You can go. Thank you, Senior. Yuan Rong then excused herself and left Haojue's spaceship. Chapter 104. The reason why Yuan Rong lied like this was naturally because they had already discussed this beforehand. The Golden Lord had said that he didn't want anyone to know about him, and they had both agreed. Naturally, they wouldn't tell anyone. When Yuan Rong returned to her villa, she saw a man in green armor waiting for her at the entrance. She couldn't help but be shocked. Yuchi Qingfeng had also sensed Yuan Rong's arrival earlier, and he was looking at Yuan Rong excitedly as she walked over. Big Brother Feng, why are you here? Yuan Rong asked as she approached, her expression somewhat stiff and unnatural. Xiao Rong, when you first arrived, I was in seclusion, so I didn't know you were here. When I came out of seclusion, I immediately came to find you. But who would have thought? I heard that you died on a mission, and not long ago, I heard that you had returned safely, so I waited for you here. Yuchi Qingfeng said with a smile, his eyes filled with tenderness. Hearing this, Yuan Rong forced a smile on her face and said, Big Brother Feng is too kind. I'm fine. If there's nothing else, I'll go back. After Yuan Rong finished speaking, she was about to walk towards the entrance of the villa. Seeing this, Yuchi Qingfeng's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly raised his hand to stop her, saying, Wait a minute, Xiao Rong. I was too impulsive back then, and I'm really sorry. But it's because I really like you that much that I accidentally did that kind of thing. It's really because I like you too much, you know? Yuan Rong's footsteps paused, and her expression became somewhat unsightly. Can you forgive me? Yuchi Qingfeng then gritted his teeth and asked this question. Let bygones be bygones. Yuan Rong was silent for 2 seconds, then suddenly replied with a gloomy expression, and at the same time, continued walking towards the entrance. Seeing this, Yuchi Qingfeng's face turned pale, and he looked like he was in pain. After hesitating for a moment, he still caught up with Yuan Rong when she opened the door and was about to enter. He said, Xiao Rong, I know it's impossible between us, but I still can't let you go. Knowing that you're here, I'm even in the mood to continue cultivating. Can't you forgive me? That would make me feel better. Yuan Rong stopped in her tracks. She looked a little sad, but after a short silence, she said softly, Okay, I forgive you. As long as you're happy. After saying this, Yuan Rong stepped through the door and walked away quickly. Yuchi Qingfeng stood there absent-mindedly as he watched Yuan Rong's slender figure gradually disappear into the distance. His eyes became melancholic and deep. Yuchi Hongzi, it's a pity that I'm not as good as you. No matter how hard I work, I can't surpass you. Yuchi Qingfeng suddenly said, then turned around and disappeared on the spot. In Zhou Jie's villa. After taking a comfortable bath, Zhou Jie's mood improved a lot. Thinking back to the 3 years he spent trapped in the underground palace, he felt like he was in a dream. Only the increase in his strength made him understand that everything was real. During the 3 years, although Zhou Jie spent most of his time cultivating in the Six Paths realm, he also came out of seclusion 11 times to relax and chat with Qin Feng and the others. This caused the relationship between the 5 of them to improve exponentially. Among the 5 of them, Yuan Rong was the only female, and she was also a genius beauty. Naturally, even Zhou Jie couldn't help but have a good impression of her. Therefore, when Zhou Jie sat at the table and thought about the past 3 years, his mind was filled with images of Yuan Rong. After thinking for a while, Zhou Jie suddenly sighed. His eyes became sharp again and he murmured, She's the proud daughter of the Yuan family. I'm not good enough for her now. Cultivate. Zhou Jie said, got up and walked to the quiet room in the basement. He planned to go to the Six Paths realm to consolidate his understanding of the Flying Sword realm, one-line sky tide. The next morning, Qin Feng got up from the messy sheets, got down from the bed, picked up the toilet paper on the ground and threw it into the trash bin. At the same time, he shook his head and sighed, It's over, I'm in love." A few minutes later, Qin Feng finished washing up, put on a suit, and messed up his hair in front of the mirror. As he combed his hair, he said, "Jocko and the others haven't said anything yet, so I have to make the first move. Yuan Marin still has a good impression of me. If I succeed, I, Qin Feng, will successfully marry a beautiful, rich, and beautiful woman and reach the pinnacle of life." After combing his hair into a hairstyle that he felt was very handsome, Qin Feng left his villa in high spirits and walked in the direction of the Yuan Young villa. "Women like shopping, so I'll take her to the Star Sword Alliance's trading star. I'll buy her clothes and eat good food. Well, that's what I'll do." Qin Feng walked on the road, talking to himself, looking quite heroic. However, when he was about 100 meters away from Yuan Rong's villa, he was scared again. "Phew, I'm so nervous." Qin Feng slowed down his pace and stamped his feet on the spot to ease his nervous mood. Then, he looked at his own clothes and touched his own hairstyle. Well, everything is perfect, Qin Feng thought. He took out his ID card and contacted Yuan Rong. At the same time, he slowly walked toward the entrance of the Yuan Young villa. On the top floor of a villa 700 meters away, Yuchi Qin Feng was sitting cross-legged. With his strength as a Samsung Star Master, his senses could easily cover a range of 1,000 meters within 5 times the standard gravity. Therefore, when Qin Feng was about 150 meters away from Yuan Rong's villa, Yuchi Qin Feng opened his eyes and noticed him. When Qin Feng was about 30 meters away from the entrance of the Yuan Young villa, Yuchi Qin Feng frowned. After a while, he saw Yuan Rong walk out of the villa and greet Qin Feng. The two of them started talking. Qin Feng was dancing with joy. Both Yuan Rong and Qin Feng were very happy. When Yuchi Qin Feng saw this scene, his brows were simply twisted into a fried dough twist. "I think this dress is very suitable for you. Really, are you interested in going on a date? I'm planning to go to the trading star to buy some things. I got 10,000 points from this mission, and I feel sorry for myself if I don't spend some of them." Qin Feng and Yuan Rong chatted and made a timely invitation. However, Yuan Rong's smile froze a little when she heard this. After hesitating for a moment, she refused. "Well, I don't lack anything, so forget it. I'm planning to go into seclusion for a year and try to break through to 2-Star Lord as soon as possible." Qin Feng's heart sank when he heard this. He knew that Yuan Rong didn't want to go to the trading star with him from the bottom of her heart. This proved that Yuan Rong didn't like him, even if Qin Feng had the most fun talking to her before. However, Qin Feng still wanted to fight for it. Perhaps Yuan Rong was just loosening the reins to grasp him better? Moreover, as long as he succeeded, he would have a chance to take another step forward. If he failed, then he wouldn't have any chance at all. "Give me some face, Beauty Yuan. Also, I was planning to buy that dress for you because I think only a goddess like you is worthy of it. You'll definitely look good in it," Qin Feng said with a smile. Yuan Rong pursed her lips, but she still refused in the end. "It's not that I don't want to give you face, but I really don't want to waste time right now. How about we talk about it later?" "Alright, then we'll talk about it later. Sorry to bother you." Qin Feng was relieved when he heard that there was still a chance. He smiled and said, "Okay, then we'll talk about it later. Sorry to bother you." Yuan Rong also responded with a smile. The corners of her mouth were curved up beautifully. Even though he had seen Yuan Rong's smile countless times, Qin Feng still felt that it was breathtakingly beautiful. At that moment, he felt as if his heart had skipped a beat. When Qin Feng woke up, he found that he was already on his way back. As for how he turned around and left just now, he didn't remember at all. There's still a chance next time. This time, I just came at the wrong time, Qin Feng said to himself. He felt that his whole body was filled with strength again. However, suddenly, Qin Feng sensed that a person was rapidly approaching from behind. He quickly turned around to be on guard. Whoosh! Yuchi Qingfeng stopped about 5 meters in front of Qingfeng. With a height of nearly 1.9 meters, he looked down at Qingfeng with disdain. Who are you? Qingfeng sensed that the newcomer didn't come with good intentions, so he immediately asked with a stern expression. However, Qingfeng then sensed that his opponent's cultivation seemed to be far above his own. His expression immediately changed. Yuchi Qingfeng also sensed Qingfeng's cultivation. He estimated that he was a late-stage 1-star lord at most, so he knew that Qingfeng was probably the same as Yuan Rong. He was a new student in recent years. What's your name? Yuchi Qingfeng asked, completely ignoring Qingfeng's question. Chapter 105. Qingfeng saw the other party's arrogant attitude and completely ignored his question. He said coldly, "You haven't answered me who you are. Why should I tell you who I am?" Yuchi Qingfeng was not angry when he heard Qingfeng's words. After all, those who could be selected to enter the elite training base were all geniuses. Which one of them did not have a bit of arrogance? They often could not tolerate disrespect from others, unless the other party's status or strength was much higher than theirs. Yuchi Qingfeng had been in the base for nearly 15 years, so he knew better than Qingfeng what "there is always someone better than you" meant. He also knew how to be patient. Thus, his expression did not change. He said calmly, "It's fine if you don't tell me. I will find out. But if you want to get close to Xiaorong, I advise you not to be naive. Unless the power behind you has a Lord-class expert." After a pause, Yuchi Qingfeng added, "But even if the power behind you has a Lord-class expert, you may not have a chance." Yuchi Qingfeng's words shocked Qingfeng. He did not have a powerful background, but the person in front of him said that even if he had a Lord-class expert behind him, he may not be able to win Yuan Rong's heart. This was a little scary. Also, this person actually called Yuan Rong Xiao Rong. What was his relationship with Yuan Rong? Many thoughts flashed through Qingfeng's mind. He felt a little frightened, but on the surface, he maintained a cold attitude. He said, "Don't worry about it. Rong Rong has already agreed to go shopping with me next time. I don't have time to continue talking to you. Goodbye." "Oh no, let's not see each other again." After saying that, Qingfeng turned to leave. However, Yuchi Qingfeng's expression changed when Qingfeng said that. He immediately moved to block Qingfeng's way. He stared coldly at Qingfeng and asked, "What did you just call her? Rong Rong? Why would she like you?" "Impossible." Yuchi Qingfeng's words immediately infuriated Qingfeng. What did he mean by "how could she have taken a fancy to you"? Was he that bad? Clearly, his looks were top-notch, and his strength was outstanding, okay? Although Qingfeng's strength couldn't compare to Zhou Jie, Lu Haoren, or Gong Zhangxin, he had made great progress in the 3 years he had spent in the underground palace. He was much stronger than Yu Wenrong. Even in the entire Wanhai star zone, he was in the upper echelons of the 1-star lord-rank geniuses. Yuchi Qingfeng's question just now was simply an insult to Qingfeng. At that moment, Qingfeng's eyes seemed to be about to burst into flames, but then he suppressed his anger and said with a cold snort, "Ha, you're just relying on the fact that you came here a few years earlier than me. If we were at the same level of cultivation, who do you think you are? Also, don't tell me you want to pursue Rongrong too. Did you look in the mirror today? I advise you to go back and look in the mirror. Your face stinks, and so does your mouth." When had Yuchi Qingfeng ever been spoken to in such a manner? His pupils constricted when he heard this, and he burned with rage as well. However, he was much older than Qingfeng after all, and he had been in the elite training base for nearly 15 years. He had long since learned how to conceal his edge and swallow his anger. Yuchi Qingfeng stared at Qingfeng coldly for a few seconds. When he saw that Qin Feng was not afraid at all, he finally sneered. You're just a frog at the bottom of a well. Qin Feng stared at Qin Feng's eyes. Energy flowed in his eyes. If you're a man, don't waste your breath here. Let's have a bet. Do you dare? Qin Feng could not help but look at Qin Feng in shock. He looked at him like he was looking at an idiot. Did I hear that right? You want to bet with me? Don't you have any shame? Qin Feng immediately said, Of course I won't take advantage of you. We can wear uniforms that limit our strength to the same level. That way, I can only be stronger than you in terms of cultivation and technique. However, my cultivation is much higher than yours. I can limit my strength to the level of an early stage 1-star lord. Do you dare? When he asked the last question, Qin Feng slightly raised his chin and deliberately looked at Qin Feng with disdain. In fact, Qin Feng would have taught Qin Feng a lesson already if it weren't for the fact that fighting was forbidden in the training base, with the lightest punishment being a year of confinement. Qin Feng naturally could not tolerate Qin Feng's words and his irritating expression. Not to mention, this was related to a man's dignity. He had no choice but to accept it. Okay, then let's fight in 3 days, Qin Feng said straightforwardly. However, Qin Feng raised his eyebrows and said, You need 3 days to prepare? Fine. Let's fight in 3 days. Qin Feng was no fool. He needed 3 days to understand Qin Feng's situation and make ample preparations. He had to win this battle. Let's fight right now, Qin Feng added, as if he was afraid Qin Feng would go back on his word. As you wish. Qin Feng naturally wouldn't go back on his word since he had agreed. How many points do you want to bet? I'll give you double, Qin Feng said again, looking at Qin Feng with awe-inspiring arrogance. Qin Feng did not want to be outdone, but his points were limited. He thought for a moment and said, Unfortunately, I don't have many points right now. I can't rip you off. Let's bet 10,000. Okay, Qin Feng answered, then took out his identity card and chose the points gambling battle option, challenging Qin Feng to a face-to-face battle. Qin Feng also took out his identity card. Seeing that there was a battle invitation on it, he clicked on it to take a look. Year 15 Qin Feng challenges you to a gambling battle. The battle time is XXX. The battle method is a match of strength. Both parties will wear uniforms limited by strength. The battle location is the central square of the base. The bet is 20,000 points. After the battle is successful, the battle information will be submitted for review within half a day. The base will send a robot referee to supervise the battle at the appointed time. After glancing at the battle information and confirming that there was no problem with the time, Qin Feng naturally chose to accept on the spot. The battle information of the two was automatically submitted and entered the review process. Okay. After Qin Feng confirmed it, he said this and then no longer paid any attention to Qin Feng. He turned around and left. Qin Feng stared at Qin Feng's back as he left, a cold light surging in his eyes. At the same time, Zhou Jie was in the gravity room on the second floor of his villa, doing simple warm-up exercises with 150 times gravity. Handstand push-ups, Russian push-ups, burpees. Zhou Jie completed this training purely with his physical strength. However, when Zhou Jie finished his warm-up training and came out of the gravity room, even his breathing did not change much. His face was not red at all, and he was not out of breath. It was just that his body was indeed a little warmer, which made him feel very comfortable and happy. After going down to the first floor to drink a glass of milk, Zhou Jie stood at the door and struggled with his thoughts. He had an impulse to go out, but in fact, he did not know why he wanted to go out. This made him feel a little helpless. After thinking carefully, he realized that he seemed to want to find Yuan Rong. But why did he want to find her? Zhou Jie could not figure it out for a while. After standing at the door for more than a minute, Zhou Jie returned to the house and poured himself a glass of milk to drink. Some things can't be forced. She seems to like Qin Feng more. Howren also has a better chance than me. Zhou Jie sat down at the table and drank to himself. Immediately, Zhou Jie shook his head, drank the milk in the glass, and took out his identity card to take a look. It did not matter if he did not look at it, but as soon as he looked, Zhou Jie was attracted by the red dot notification on the gambling points fight. Zhou Jie had not clicked on this gambling points fight, except 3 years ago. Who would have thought that it would have a notification today? With doubts and curiosity, Zhou Jie clicked on it to take a look. There's actually a gambling fight message? After Zhou Jie clicked on it, he found that it was a gambling fight message. He was immediately surprised, and then clicked on it to read the details. The two sides of the gambling fight were Qin Feng and Yuqi Qin Feng, and their respective years were displayed in front of the message. What, Qin Feng? Zhou Jie was immediately shocked. He didn't understand why he would make a bet with Yuqi Qin Feng, a 15th-year senior student. Even though it was a battle of equal strength, why would the two of them make a bet for no reason at all? This kid, what's going on? Zhou Jie frowned and thought, but naturally could not figure out the reason. So, he used his identity card to contact Qin Feng to ask about it. Chapter 106. Zhou Jie called Qin Feng, and Qin Feng quickly picked up. Qin Feng, what's up with you? Did you challenge that Yuqi Qin Feng to a duel? Zhou Jie asked right away. Qin Feng was silent for a second, then sighed and said, Brother Jie, I'm also very confused about this matter, because I was going to go to the trading star to buy something, and I took a fancy to a very beautiful dress. I think it's very suitable for Beauty Yuan, so this morning I went to look for Beauty Yuan and asked her if she wanted to go shopping with me at the trading star, and at the same time I wanted to recommend that dress to her, but it just so happened that she had something to do, so we made an appointment next time. After that, I went back to the villa, and before I walked far, I was stopped by a senior student named Yuqi Qin Feng, and then Qin Feng gave a rough explanation of what had happened. Zhou Jie immediately understood what was going on after hearing that. He frowned and said to the identity card, so Yuqi Qin Feng might be Yuan Rong's admirer. He doesn't want you to get close to Yuan Rong, but he's being a little overbearing. Qin Feng's voice came from the other end when he heard Zhou Jie's words. Yeah, that guy is crazy, but I'm not afraid of him even if he wants to challenge me. Who does he think he is, looking down on me like a snob? I'll beat the crap out of him in 3 days. Zhou Jie couldn't help but shake his head when he heard that. He said to Qin Feng, Yuqi Qin Feng must be confident in his strength if he dares to challenge you like that. Even though he's only an early 1-star lord, he's still a Samsung Star Lord. He's very difficult to deal with. You have to be careful. Train well and prepare well for the next few days. Yeah, I know. Don't worry about me, Jocko. I won't lose. Qin Feng said confidently. He had improved a lot during the 3 years he was trapped underground, so it was inevitable that his confidence would swell. But then again, Zhou Jie knew Qin Feng's improvement, so he didn't think that Qin Feng had no chance. Yuqi Qin Feng had suppressed his cultivation to a level lower than Qin Feng's, so even if Zhou Jie thought about it, Qin Feng still had a good chance of winning. So, Zhou Jie said, Yeah, I believe you, but be careful. Make sure you're well prepared. I'll have Howren look into Yuqi Qin Feng's background. The reason why Zhou Jie said this was naturally because Lu Howren's background was the biggest. It was the easiest to investigate people. During the 3 years he was trapped underground, he had won the trust of the other 4 people with his absolute strength. He even had some support, and had faintly become the boss of the group. So much so that the others were unconsciously willing to listen to his words, and Zhou Jie was used to it. Yeah, thank you, Jocko. Qin Feng thanked him. After the two ended the call, Zhou Jie immediately contacted Lu Haoran and Miyazaki Naganabu and told them about Qin Feng. After receiving Zhou Jie's instructions, Lu Haoran immediately sent someone to investigate Yuqi Qingfeng's background. In less than an hour, Lu Haoran contacted Zhou Jie. Jie, I've already investigated Yuqi Qingfeng's background. He's a direct genius of the Yuqi family and the second genius of the family. The first is a person called Yuqi Hongzi. However, I couldn't find out the relationship between Yuqi Qingfeng and Yuan Rong. I did find out that Yuan Rong and Yuqi Hongzi were engaged by the family 4 years ago. Their relationship is a little subtle. Yuqi Qingfeng probably likes Yuan Rong, but he's 11 years older than her. On the other hand, Yuqi Hongzi is only 4 years older than her. Moreover, because he's the first genius of the Yuqi family, Yuqi Qingfeng probably likes Yuan Rong but can't pursue her. Such a person, how do I put it? After hearing Lu Haoran's explanation, Zhou Jie understood many key points. He immediately said, "Okay, I got it. Tell this to Qin Feng as well." "Yes, I know. I've also collected some information about Yuqi Qingfeng's battles. I'll send it to old Qin later. However, there's one more thing to note. This Yuqi family also has a Star Lord behind them. The famous Yuqi technology in the Wanhai Star Zone is their family business. Therefore, Yuqi Qingfeng's background is quite powerful. Old Qin probably wants to pursue Yuan Rong, but with Yuqi Qingfeng or the Yuqi family behind him, it'll be difficult for him to do so," Lu Haoran added. Zhou Jie was silent for a few seconds after hearing this. In the end, he said, "Tell this to Qin Feng as well. However, this is just for him to understand. If he really wants to pursue Yuan Rong, tell him that he doesn't need to be afraid of the Yuqi family. We'll support him with all our strength." Lu Haoran nodded solemnly after hearing Zhou Jie's words. He said seriously, "Okay, I'll tell him." At the same time, Yuan Rong also learned that Qin Feng and Yuqi Qingfeng were going to have a duel in 3 days. She was surprised and immediately contacted Qin Feng to ask him what was going on. Qin Feng then told Yuan Rong the same thing that Zhou Jie had told him. He also clearly expressed that he had accepted the duel because of Yuan Rong, which was also his intention. However, Yuan Rong didn't seem to care about this. Instead, she was a little angry with Yuqi Qingfeng's actions. After a few simple words, she ended the call with Qin Feng and contacted Yuqi Qingfeng. "Yuqi Qingfeng, what are you doing? You want to have a duel with Qin Feng? He's my friend. It has nothing to do with you," Yuan Rong questioned as soon as the voice chat was connected. Yuqi Qingfeng seemed to be very calm on the other end. He replied calmly, "He wants to get close to you. I only advised him a little, but he didn't listen. I had to let him know that he's not worthy of dating you. A toad wants to eat swan meat. Don't tell me you really like him, Xiaorong?" Yuan Rong was silent for a second. Then, she said with obvious anger, "I said, he's my friend. You might be thinking too much. I don't need you to care about my business. I don't need to care about it, but I'm doing this for your own good. I want to save you some trouble. I think if cousin Hongzi knows, he won't ignore it, right?" Yuqi Qingfeng's tone was still calm and even a little gentle. He had always been like this when facing Yuan Rong. Yuan Rong was silent for a few seconds again. Then, she said, "I don't want you to do this again. You'll only make me hate you more." After that, Yuan Rong ended the call. On the other end of the call, Yuqi Qingfeng held the identity card in his hand for a full 10 seconds. Then, he suddenly threw the identity card at the wall beside him, causing the wall to shake violently. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Soon, it was the day of the duel between Qin Feng and Yuqi Qingfeng. Zhou Jie, Lu Haoran, Miyazaki Naganabu, and Yuan Rong had all arrived at the square in the center of the base early. The referee robot had also arrived in advance, standing at the edge of the field. However, Yuqi Qingfeng and Qin Feng hadn't arrived yet. Since the news of the duel was public, anyone who wasn't cultivating in seclusion in the base would know about it. The seniors all knew Yuchi Qingfeng's big name. It had only been 4 years since Yuchi Qingfeng became a Samsung Star Lord. However, when he was a 2-star Lord, he had won a duel with someone and easily defeated a genius of the same level. At that time, he was almost the strongest 2-star Lord. In addition, he was a member of the Yuchi family, so he was quite famous. When the 5 seniors heard that Yuchi Qingfeng was dueling with a Star Lord, they were very curious, so they all came to watch the duel. Those are the seniors, right? There are actually 5 of them? Miyazaki Naganabu, who was standing with Zhou Jie and the others, suddenly said when they saw the 5 people gathered in another corner of the field. Yeah, I didn't expect Li Xiantian to come as well. He's one of the people who has a chance of reaching the top of the gold rank. Lu Haoran looked at the 5 people and added, Li Xiantian? Oh, I remember him. He's already in his 25th year, but he's still a Samsung Star Lord. If he breaks through, he'll be able to reach the top of the gold rank. Tu Xiao is also one of them. Yuan Rong also had some understanding of this and immediately said. Zhou Jie, who didn't pay attention to the outside world, couldn't help but be surprised when he heard this. He asked, Yuchi Qingfeng broke through to Samsung Star Lord in the 11th year. Does that mean he also has a chance of reaching the top of the gold rank? In response, Lu Haoran replied, yeah, sort of. However, the last few Samsung Star Lords on the gold rank are all very terrifying existences. It's said that they all have strange meridians or strange divine bodies that allow them to exert combat power that's an entire level higher than theirs. That's why they're at the bottom of the gold rank. If they're not a 4-star Star Lord, even geniuses like Li Xiantian and Tu Xiao will find it difficult to reach the top of the gold rank. They're not any worse than Yuchi Qingfeng. It only took a little more than 10 years for a 1-star Star Lord to become a Samsung Star Lord, but for a Samsung Star Lord to become a 4-star Star Lord is a small hurdle that even they haven't been able to cross. It's really too difficult to reach the gold rank. Chapter 107. After that, Lu Haoran looked at Zhou Jie and said solemnly, but with JJ's strength, you'll definitely be on the gold rank in the future. Miyazaki Naganabu looked at Zhou Jie and nodded in agreement. Yes, Zhou Jie is a monster. He already has the strength of a Samsung Star Master. When he becomes a Samsung Star Master, I wonder how strong he'll be. I think even Yuan Qingkong and Veronica won't be able to compare. Miyazaki Naganabu said this because in their opinion, although Zhou Jie only got 3rd place in the genius competition and seemed to be far weaker than Yuan Qingkong and Veronica, they had overlooked one point, which was that Zhou Jie was completely a monk without any support. In other words, he didn't have any good cultivation conditions or resources to support his cultivation. Even so, he was still extremely outstanding. Now that he was in the Star Sword Alliance's elite cultivation base, he didn't lack cultivation resources, and his strength had indeed skyrocketed. His strength had improved to a terrifying level. Zhou Jie didn't say anything after hearing this. In the eyes of others, his strength had improved tremendously after cultivating in the underground palace for 3 years, but only he knew how much pain he had endured and how much blood he had shed. No matter how tough he was, he wouldn't be willing to do it again. He was only forced by the situation at the time to improve his strength so desperately. It was natural for him to become so strong. Yuan Rong also expressed her agreement with Miyazaki Naganabu and Lu Haoran because they all knew how strong Zhou Jie was. He was the most terrifying person they had ever seen at the same level. They couldn't even think of chasing after him. Zhou Jie was just too strong. There was still less than half an hour before Qin Feng and Yuchi Qingfeng's arranged battle time, and Yuchi Qingfeng finally appeared in the square. He walked toward Zhou Jie and the others as soon as he entered. To be more precise, He was walking toward Yuan Rong. Zhou Jie and the others watched as Yuqi Qingfeng approached. Their eyes were very unfriendly, but they couldn't say anything to stop him from approaching, so they just watched. Yuqi Qingfeng completely ignored Zhou Jie, Lu Haoran, and Miyazaki Naganabu. He walked to Yuan Rong and said with a gentle expression, "Xiao Rong, don't worry, I'll definitely win this battle. I'll let everyone know that you're not that easy to get close to. Also, I'll give you face, I'll go easy." "You're crazy." Hearing Yuqi Qingfeng's words, Yuan Rong's expression became unsightly, and she frowned. "I'm not. I know what I'm doing. You don't understand me, do you?" Yuqi Qingfeng lowered his eyes when he heard that. His voice was still gentle and pleasant, and there was no trace of anger in it. This scene couldn't help but cause the nearby Lu Haoran's group of 3 to be disoriented, and they thought in their hearts, "Why does this Yuqi Qingfeng speak as if he's sick?" It was really puzzling. However, coincidentally, Qingfeng also flew into the arena at this time. Yuqi Qingfeng sensed him and turned around. His gaze turned cold as he looked at Qingfeng, who had just entered the arena. Qingfeng also looked at Yuqi Qingfeng. When their eyes met, it was as if sparks were about to explode in the air. Yuan Rong did not say anything. Yuqi Qingfeng and Qingfeng looked at each other for a few seconds. His gaze calmed down a little. Then, he turned his head and walked to the side, giving off a sense of desolation. Qingfeng, on the other hand, walked towards Zhou Jie and the others. The expression on his face was much more relaxed as he greeted Zhou Jie and the others. Seeing this, the robot referee at the side of the field also walked over and stood between Zhou Jie and Yuqi Qingfeng and the older student. He opened his mouth and asked in a robotic male voice, "Both sides of this gambling fight are in position. May I ask if you want to start the fight now or wait until the appointed time?" Qingfeng and Yuqi Qingfeng heard this. Qingfeng was stunned, while Yuqi Qingfeng's eyes flashed coldly. He looked at Qingfeng, obviously waiting for Qingfeng to agree. If he was, he would definitely like to fight immediately. It seems that some people can't wait. I don't mind waiting for 20 minutes. Let's start now. Qingfeng looked at Yuqi Qingfeng and deliberately said loudly. He did not seem to be afraid of this gambling fight at all. "Yuan Meiren, cheer for me." Qingfeng smiled and said to Yuan Rong. At the same time, he prepared to walk to the center of the arena. Good luck." Yuan Rong nodded and made a good luck gesture to Qingfeng. When Yuqi Qingfeng saw this scene, his eyes seemed to be about to burst into flames. However, he closed and opened his eyes, and his expression returned to its usual coldness. "Then let's start, referee." Yuqi Qingfeng also shouted. Thus, the referee robot immediately announced the start of the gambling fight and reminded both parties to set up their strength limit uniforms. According to the rules of the gambling fight, Qingfeng's uniform was limited to 3 levels of 1-star Lord. The uniform did not have the ability to actually limit energy. It only checked whether the wearer's energy usage threshold exceeded a set value. For example, 1-star Lord had 3 levels. The first level limited one's cultivation to the early stage of 1-star Lord, while the third level limited one's cultivation to the late stage. As for Yuqi Qingfeng, he was a 1-star Lord with the first level. This meant that he could only use energy at the early stage of 1-star Lord. If his energy usage exceeded the set threshold by a little, the first time would be a warning, and the second time, it would be considered a loss. If his energy usage exceeded the set threshold by more than 5%, it would be considered a loss. Qingfeng and Yuan Meiren finished their preparations. They both wore their black strength limit uniforms and walked to the center of the arena. The others consciously retreated to a certain distance and waited for the two to start fighting. "Are we going to use weapons?" Yuqi Qingfeng asked Qingfeng just before the battle began. "No, let's do it." Qingfeng thought for a moment and replied. Radiance of energy rose from his body. Yuqi Qingfeng no longer spoke, but his eyes became unprecedentedly sharp. In the next moment, he suddenly disappeared from where he stood, and like a fierce tiger pouncing on its prey, he charged towards Qingfeng, who was 10 meters away. The battle was about to begin. Bang! 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 The two of them started punching and kicking as soon as they made contact. Gusts of wind swept around them. Their high-speed movements made their figures blurry. However, everyone present was a Star-Lord. They could still see the general situation of the battle. As for the referee robot, it was needless to say. It could certainly capture all the battle information. Less than 15 seconds after the battle began, Zhou Jie suddenly frowned and said to the three of them telepathically, "This Yuqi Qingfeng's attacks are unusual. He must have reached a very high level and is not far from the undefeatable state. Qingfeng can't beat him." When Zhou Jie said that, Lu Haoran and the other two had already noticed that Qingfeng was constantly retreating. He seemed to be in a difficult position. His attacks were clearly more powerful than Yuqi Qingfeng's, and he seemed to be suppressing his opponent at the beginning. However, before he knew it, he was at a disadvantage. "Hurry up and change your move, kid," Lu Haoran couldn't help but say anxiously. On the other hand, Qingfeng seemed to have heard Lu Haoran's voice transmission that was only directed at Zhou Jie's group of three. He abruptly took a few steps back and executed a martial skill, causing his palm to erupt with a resplendent glow of energy that blasted towards Yuqi Qingfeng's chest. Yuqi Qingfeng wasn't surprised at all. He quickly changed his attack method and countered Qingfeng's attack with his own. Dong! As if a torpedo had exploded in the water, the surface of the field seemed to have been shaken. Visible air waves spread out and swept across 100 meters like a hurricane. Under such circumstances, Zhou Jie and the others were only standing 70 to 80 meters away from the two of them. If it were an ordinary person here, they would have been directly sent flying into the air, seriously injured, and dying. Of course, it was only natural for a Star Lord to unleash such power. So, although everybody was shocked, they weren't surprised or panicked. At the center of the field, Yuqi Qingfeng and Yuqi Qingfeng were on par with each other. Qingfeng was quite surprised, because Yuqi Qingfeng couldn't unleash as much energy as he could. It could only mean that Yuqi Qingfeng's control of energy and external energy was far better than his after he unleashed his power. That was under the condition that the limit of mental power was also limited. Otherwise, Yuqi Qingfeng's mental power field, which was on the level of a Samsung Star-Lord, would have crushed Qingfeng. The fundamental difference between a Samsung Star-Lord and a Samsung Star-Lord was too great. Although he was shocked by this, no matter what, Qingfeng was still a genius at the upper middle tier of the same level. How could he only have such little means? Great! Therefore, Qingfeng cheered and at the same time revealed his shock and anger. His two palms struck out together. The attacks connected into one, directly attacking Yuqi Qingfeng's face and nose. Yuqi Qingfeng responded calmly and carried out more than 120% of his strength with each attack. He thought that he could block Qingfeng's attack as easily as before, huh? Yuqi Qingfeng's pupils constricted. He sensed that Qingfeng's attack was so powerful that he almost couldn't resist it. Although he managed to resist it, his center of gravity was disrupted. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.